Yes, indeed. It is I, Koku, hosting tonight. I want to thank everyone who participated last week. I got to listen to the last 30 minutes or so of the show live. I got to listen to the replay. Excellent program. It's good to know that the show can go on even if I'm not present. Shout out to Jackadero, who's out there having a nice time at an event in his neck of the woods, eating some Ghanaian jollof, from what I understand. Shout out to him. And shout out to all of you guys who participated with him last week. Fine. Okay. So my sound is good. You guys should be hearing me. Drop a 1 if you do, in fact, hear me, just to confirm. But what we got going on tonight here, we have a few topics for you guys. We're going to discuss whether or not we agree that Africa can become a heaven within a 5-year span with the right leadership. We're going to discuss, should some of us Africans be deleted for us to be liberated? That's an interesting question. We're going to discuss African gender concepts versus European gender concepts. We're going to discuss how some white folks were having a good time yucking it up, talking about they are reclaiming the N-word. Were they reclaiming the N-word or making fun of quote-unquote N-words? Lastly, you guys might have seen this. This just blew my mind and completely made me fed up with the guy. But fellas, who knew you needed a gay guy in your life, says Obama. Those are the topics we are discussing tonight. I hope any and all of you African folks out there who hear my voice, will join the panel tonight. Just click the link that's pinned at the top of the chat. It's pinned at the top of the chat on the Bitter Medicine side as well as on the KWAZ side of the broadcast. Also, and this is very important, Shoot the Breeze is as good as the topics that are, for lack of a better word, donated to this program. If you haven't already, join the Discord and post your topics, and please, post a prompt, a thought-provoking prompt, along with a video attachment or an article, or something linked back to Instagram or YouTube or Twitter or even TikTok. But make sure, don't just post a video and then I'm supposed to figure out what the prompt is. No, post a video, post a prompt, let us know what you would like to hear discussed about the attachment. Join the Discord today. The link is in the description of this live stream. So with that said, we shall start the show officially. Before I do that, let me just remind you guys to hit the like button, share the show on your social media amongst your peeps, invite some people, invite some new blood to come through and partake in this live stream event that we do every weekend. We've been doing it now for 203 weekends, 203 Saturdays we've been here. So please share the video, hit the like button. And lastly, I put up a poll that I really would like to see folks respond to. So please respond to the poll. It's on the Bitter Medicine podcast side. It's not on the KWAZ radio side. But respond to that poll. It's a very important poll to me. Once again, shout out to Jackadero, who's been holding it down when I am not here. And will hold it down for me in the future when events happen that I can't be here with you guys. But shout out to all of you who also helped him in the last few weeks of doing the show. All right, without further ado, let's start this thing officially And then on the other side, I'll drop Shoot the Breeze topic number 1, as well as introduce any and all of my panelists. Please stay tuned.
You are listening to the Bitter Medicine Podcast on KWAZ Radio. Welcome to the Bitter Medicine Podcast, where it's all about Black empowerment. Our show focuses on Black news and entertainment, arts, science, economics, history, people, and strategies that uplift, empower, and motivate Africans within the diaspora. And now, your host, whose favorite color is black, Goku.
Welcome back to the Bitter Medicine Podcast. I am your host, Koku. Just want to remind you guys before we get the show rolling that this show is part of a podcast network called KWAZ Radio. There are other shows on the network you are invited to tune into.
This is D Webb with the Harsh Reality Podcast, asking you to tune in where we tackle the news of the day that affects our community, only on KWAZ Radio.
Peace, family. This is Oni, inviting you to listen to the Pro-Black Perspective, where Black problems are addressed with Black solutions.
Greetings, fam. Tune in to The Learning Curve with me, the Revolutionary Matron on KWAZ Radio.
You are listening to the Bitter Medicine Podcast on KWAZ Radio.
Yes, indeed. Make sure you also tuned in to Kofi the Black Critic, Brother Bakari, the BBN Network, Forecast Radio, and Consider Cheek as well. And, you know, I've been thinking about it more. I've been trying to prioritize certain things in my life lately. And I'm thinking about getting back into trying to recruit more people to KWAZ Radio, make it a more robust channel, to do more with the KWAZ Radio YouTube channel as well, by the way. So if you guys know of a small channel, especially Pan-African, that you think would fit in well with the rest of us on KWAZ Radio, make sure to shoot me an email or hit me a DM on the Discord. You know, let me know who you think I should look into, particularly Black women and Black youth. I'd like to get more folks who are Black women of all ages and Black youth. I think it's time we have some of these conversations with our youth and bring them up to speed a little bit more now too. So if you have any ideas of people out there, by all means, hit me up, hit me a DM on the Discord. I want to say shout out to Daily Affirmation by Pauline. She's out there saying good evening. She also gave me a number 1 to confirm that I'm being heard. I want to say shout out to the Revolutionary Matron. Our matron says greetings to everyone. Shout out to Trigger Happy 262 Plus, saying peace. Very regular person here with us. I appreciate you, bro. Sister Raw is here, bright and early today. She says greetings, Brother Koku, and all in the yard. So shout out to Sister Raw, and shout out to Cheryl Easy. I heard her on the platform last week, contributing to the conversation. Hopefully, she'll be able to do the same this week with us. I appreciate all of you, whether I'm here or not. So right now, I don't have any panelists with me, but that's okay. Oh, by the way, shout out to Kofi, who's saying what's up from the chat. What's up to you, Kofi? I don't have any panelists with me right now, but you know what? That never stops the show. We're going to get right into Shoot the Breeze topic number 1 tonight. Shoot the Breeze topic number 1 says, do you agree that Africa can become, quote unquote, heaven within a 5-year span with the right leadership? How is this leadership to be envisioned? This came with a link, of course. Let me see if I could find the controls here, because StreamYard changed some things. Let me see if I could figure this out on the fly. Okay, there it is. Let me share my screen with you. This came with an attachment that's taken us oddly to LinkedIn. I don't really get my news from LinkedIn, so it's kind of strange to see it. But let me just read this article to you guys. You guys can see my screen. It says it's from Alamin Sanyang's post, who's the managing editor at The Watch Gambia. It says the richest black person in the world, Aliko Dangote, said on Thursday that Africa has the potential to become quote-unquote heaven within 5 years if the continent embraces the right policies, investments, and leadership. Speaking at the Africa Investment Forum in Lagos, Dangote, Africa's richest man, said the continent must prioritize industrialization, infrastructure, development, and regional integration to unlock its full economic potential. Quote, Africa is not poor. Africa is poorly managed, Dangote said during a panel discussion. With discipline, vision, and collaboration, we can turn this continent into heaven in the next 5 years. Dangote, whose conglomerate spans cement, agriculture, and oil refining, said regional trade barriers and weak logistics continue to limit growth across African markets. He urged governments to fully implement the African Continental Free Trade Area, which is the AfCFTA, and support private sector-led development. The 67-year-old Nigerian industrialist has long advocated for African self-sufficiency. His 650,000 barrels per day oil refinery, recently commissioned in Nigeria, is seen as a major step towards reducing the continent's reliance on imported petroleum products. Quote, we need to manufacture what we consume and create jobs for our youth. The opportunity is enormous, but the window is closing, he said. Dangote's remarks drew both praise and skepticism on social media, with some describing the 5-year timeline as overly ambitious, given ongoing challenges in governance, security, and infrastructure across the region. Africa's population is expected to reach nearly 1.7 billion by 2030, with the continent projected to account for over 40% of the global workforce by 2100. According to United Nations. Dangote said failure to act now would lead to missed opportunities for future generations. He further remarked that the future is in the hands of Africans, and no one will develop Africa for Africans except Africans themselves. This is Aliko Dangote, or Dangote, I can't remember the pronunciation. He said Africa can become, quote unquote, heaven in 5 years with the right leadership. I'm going to leave that image right there as we have this discussion. Before we get into the discussion, Afro Native World says Bibi Fahodie will be catching the replay. All right, thanks for letting us know. Trigger Happy 262 Plus says, notice the people saying this and their vision of development. It's for their interest, but certainly not ours. African people need strong vision when it comes to our development. Too much copy and paste. I agree with you. When I read this, Trigger Happy, I had the thought of, this guy is a capitalist. And so he's advocating But capitalism, I wonder. Well, maybe I should leave that alone. But I do wonder, who has he exploited? What would they say as far as continental Africans go? But I have one panelist with me so far, a great panelist at that. That would be Kofi, the Black critic. First of all, Kofi, how are you this week?
I'm doing good, Coco. I'm doing good. How are you? How are you?
I'm good, man. I'm hanging in there. Thanks for coming through bright and early. So you heard that whole article. What are your thoughts? Do you agree that Africa can become heaven within a 5-year span?
Well, I'm going to first off and say Africa is heaven. I'm not going to say Africa could become heaven.
True that.
Africa become more lucrative for its people. And you and Trigger Happy took the words right out of my mouth. Is like heaven, and whose vision of heaven are we talking about? Really, really here. And I like the copy and paste reference because when if we're talking about Africa as a whole, another thing I would like to get a little bit more into. Okay, we talk about Africa as a whole. We talk about Africans, obviously not North Africa. Implications there that needs to happen, which I totally agree. But to whose benefit? That it's always to whose benefit. If you have the right people, again, he was right. You have the right people in mind. You have the right minds in mind. Then yes, Africa could have her own resources and offer own resources. Benefit from own resources, right? As she should be. But again, who's going to be in charge of all this? All economics majors say this, right? There was like a year back, there was forgot the name of the guy's name. Some white dude, big economist, says like the Africa has so much potential and is going to be leading the world in industry. You know what I'm saying? If it's done right, if you don't have crony capitalism. So there's nothing wrong with being a capitalist. We're in a capitalist society. Africa was a capitalist society. There's nothing wrong with that because all capitalism is nothing but trading, bartering, selling services, providing services, and things of that nature, right? So if Africa has all that, Africa has always been in trading and bartering, whether it be from calves, cattle, skins, spices, whatever it may have you. We were always involved in that. The problem is, since the invasion of the Arabs and the invasion of the Europeans, now we know the dynamic has changed a little bit. So right now we are we think like Europeans right now when it comes to governance. We think like Europeans because as colonized people, we don't have our ancestors say, okay, look, this is what we need to go back to. This is how we did it. We're not like the Jews that that woe is me for 4 years, right? And that they were being decimated. But guess pretty much that's what it is there. The question is, the devil's in the details as far as like what is he talking about? Africa could be heaven. Whose heaven are we talking about? And I'll pretty much end it there.
Yeah, that's good commentary there, Kofi. I like that you made the distinction. Although me personally, I don't make the distinction anymore. But you made the distinction of crony capitalism. I think all capitalism now at this point is crony capitalism. And capitalist imperialism at this point, right? But in our ancient ways of doing things, we had a healthy dose of what some would consider socialism. That Ubuntu kind of mindset, and that's not being practiced here by Dangote. In that he's talking about continuing the colonial project. He's talking about just continuing the way things are done, the mode of production. That's not beneficial to African people. It doesn't get them out. It doesn't get the average African person out of the hole that they're in, not only on the continent, but worldwide. One of my favorite Pan-Africanists is Amilcar Cabral. probably like up there just under agave. And one of the things Amilcar Cabral says, and I'm paraphrasing heavily here, is that, we're not here for the ideas in people's head. We're really here to see the prosperity of our people, our children, our grandchildren. And I think about that quote probably every day. I should be better at repeating it verbatim by now, but the gist of it is like all these different ideas, theorems, theories and theorems and philosophies. It really doesn't matter. At the end of the day, what is going to allow our people to see prosperity on an individual level, on a family level, on a regional level, a continental level, on a worldwide level? Like, what's going to allow us to see prosperity, to see self-determination? And unfortunately, the capitalists in Africa are just like the capitalists from Europe.
But hold on, I'll push back on that because see, the capitalists in Europe, at least the capitalists in Europe will be for the benefit of rich white people. The capitalists in Africa is it wants to be rubbing elbows with rich white people. You know what I'm saying? I don't think someone, let's say like a Steve Jobs, or a Bill Gates, or a Jeff Bezos will say, you know what? If I do this particular policy, it would decimate Europe or the masses of white people. They're not going to do that. They're going to look for another way to look money. The wrong people in power in Africa will be like, oh, but I'm getting money. I don't care about the little people. Let me throw in some crumbs or whatever. I get to rub elbows with the white man. I get to drive me a Mercedes Benz and a BMW and get this foreign this and foreign that because white ice is colder. So I think there's nothing wrong with capitalism. I always ask people. That's why I use the word crony capitalism, because there's nothing wrong with capitalism done right. You know what I'm saying? Crony capitalism is just corrupt capitalism that only benefits, rich people, and the common people doesn't reap the benefits of that. You know what I'm saying? So when I ask people, if we're not going to use capitalism in a global capitalist society where things is measured by GDP and things of that nature, like what else is there? Well, how are you going to do it? There's no country that is a part of BRICS that is not a part of a capitalist society. You see what I'm trying to say? We could do it, but do it right. We could, chew gum and walk at the same time. So
right. Hold that thought, Kofi, because I have a follow-up question to this prompt for you.
All right.
that I like you and I to discuss. First, let me just read a couple of comments here along those lines. Cheryl says, "It sounds good, but we don't want to do, but we don't want to do is continue industrialism in the same way the non-blacks do it." I agree 100%. Trigger Happy 262 Plus says, even the industry aspects, we discussed it before when it concerned the mass production of medicine to our people. The way we industrialize and mass produce has to be completely different. Cheryl asks, what system did ancient Kemet use? Was it capitalism? It wasn't. It probably was.
It was capitalism. It was capitalism. It was trading and bartering. They traded with the people of the South with skins. When you see on the walls of chemists, you see that they have leopard skins. There's no leopards in North Africa. There's a lot of things that they have that they traded. So we got to look past capitalism just basically being a money exchange. That's no disrespect to you, sister. I'm not saying you're thinking small minded, but the big people think of, when they think of capitalism, they think of what goods and services can I have on the open market that's transferable. If we only bartering and trading and just say U.S. currency only has a particular cost. The dollar has a particular cost on the market. But when you have gold, you can name your price. Even gold has a price, but you can name your price. And then everybody wants to get that particular price. So but the big wigs think services and goods and raw material.
So to continue, and thanks for that, Kofi, to continue with some of the comments, because this is leading me into my follow-up discussion on this topic. Trigabi says, remember the quote from African Science that spoke about caring about the quality of a product being good for the consumer and the people instead of the seller. Same with industrializing, absolutely. He said, yep, all capitalism is bad. When some of our people are concerned about making money in business, it just means commerce. Commerce should be concerned for the greater good of building our people. He said capitalism is a system that will always default to profit. Yeah, because capitalism, crony capitalism, which is why I say at this point it's all crony capitalism. I don't see a benevolent capitalist society except maybe if you look in Denmark or something like that, but it's all crony capitalism now.
Yeah, but I'll ask Trigger Happy. I'm sorry, I want to ask Trigger Happy. How do you have commerce without capitalism? To me, they're just synonyms of the same thing. But this a curious question. I just want to put out there.
All right, I'll let Trigger respond to that. He says white people and their capitalism, in which a heavy social net becomes involved, requires the exploitation of counties outside of their region, which is why it's never benevolent, I would say. Okay, Cheryl says, so trading of goods is capitalism. Trigabi says, that's just commerce, I would argue. Every time business was done, they broke up money power and used that money to redistribute the wealth. So that leads me to the question here. The prompt asks, can we have a heaven in 5 years? Dan Goat gives his analysis. We don't really vibe with it because we understand that he's a Nigerian businessman, a capitalist, putting profits over people. But what would it take? There's a question of leadership in this as well. What would it take? What would a leader, let's say if Cheryl was the leader, if Trigger was the leader of an African country, if Kofi was the leader of an African country, this is how I want people to respond to this. What would you look to do in the next 5 years to solidify, because Kofi made a good point, Africa is heaven for us, to solidify Africa as this heaven? What would you guys do? So you guys in the chat can respond and answer this question, but I'm talking to Kofi. Kofi, what are your thoughts on, if it's not industrialism, if it's not industrialism in the European purview, if it's not capitalism as it is crony capitalism, what could we do, you think, in the next 5 years, if you were the leader of an African country? What would you want to do to make that country heaven on earth?
That's, again, thank you for that question. It's a very good question. The leadership of Ibrahim Traore, what he's doing, he's doing so much monumental work because he's tapping in to the resources and the people. So I don't know if I mentioned it here or other, when Wademaya went into there, he went in there and they have a tomato farm and they have a tomato plant. They're hiring people in Burkina Faso to run the tomato plant, right? So now they have a tomato plant, they packaged it and everything. All they gotta do is go to the market and sell it. You have to have the mind of an Ibrahim Traore, a Patrice Lumumba, even a Kwame Nkrumah. You have to have this where your love is for the people and you're showing it, right? You're investing in the people. Like China is a contender in the global market as far as like technology, trade, and bartering. 50, 60 years ago, China was not, you wouldn't be talking about China in that way. What did China do? China's like, look, we have a lot of people. We can utilize our people to have a workforce. So, I mean, in the industry that I'm in supply chain and purchasing and things of that nature. Usually when you get like Chinese products, like technical products and stuff like that, some of it is not the best, but it's in the market. You know what I'm saying? It's in the market, depending what you need. You know what I'm saying? It's in the market. So they're able to mass produce so much that they have that people are buying it, whether it's high quality, low quality, or anything in between. So if the first thing I would do was to build my military, build intelligence, right? And also, again, depending on my country, what natural resources they have, tap into those resources, get a factory on built. So if it's cocoa or whatever, you know what I'm saying? Get like some harvesting on machines and people of that nature. If it's cobalt or iron or anything like that, get mining equipment and things of that nature, and get the people to work those mines. And if it's oil, you have people to drill the oil and refine the oil. Don't take no. Why are you sending it out of the country for it to be refined? Do it right here. It's cheaper. No way you're gonna beat me in the head. Oh, it's a lot of money. Yeah. At the end of the day, it's gonna save me money. So I'm drilling the oil here. You send the oil back to shore, refine it, and then we'll send it out to market. You know what I'm saying? It takes someone that is not selfish, that is not greedy, that is not egotistical, that and intelligent, that knows that the betterment of my country is a betterment for me. There's enough to go around to make me happy. The investors, I get in investors, especially Black African investors, that it's going to benefit us. And make sure, and also, if you have investors, make sure the deal is good. I'll give you like a anecdotal, somewhat of an anecdotal description idea. So when I went to Jamaica, and I heard like when I was in Jamaica, they said that the chicken in the KFC chicken in Jamaica is different. It's better than the one in the States. So I went there, and the Jamaican guy told me, he was giving me the history about KFC chicken. So he said, so when KFC came here and said, hey, do you want a KFC here in Jamaica? They were like, yeah, let's have a KFC in Jamaica. They signed a contract. Okay, you can do this. You're going to follow this because it's a franchise, yada, yada, yada. Oh, and the chicken. Oh, we'll give you the chicken. They're like, whoa. Why are you giving us chicken in Jamaica like we don't have farms and we don't have chickens? No, we use our own chickens. We use our own poultry on factories. I'm not going to pay you extra money to get chicken that we have already. That's what we need. That's what we need. That's the okie doke when African countries are making deals. You might not have a person that's intelligent. You may have a person that they say, hey man, just give you a couple of dollars under the table. Just do business with us. We don't need that. That's what I would do. You know what I'm saying, for stars and beginners, if I was in charge of a mineral resource rich country in Africa that would benefit Africa and all its people.
We're gonna call you Kofi Traore from now on. I agree with everything. I agree with everything you have to say, as well as a lot of what's being said in the chat. By the way, Daily Affirmations by Pauline immediately said I would follow Ibrahim Traore. And to do that means a lot of the things you're going to hear from Trigger Happy while I run down these comments, but you got to seize the resources, nationalize everything. Trigger Happy says the first thing I would do is be realistic in realizing that a totalistic heaven within 5 years wouldn't be achieved immediately, but within 5 years span, let me scroll down, I would want to help build the education system, to build the scientists and people we need to help manage the industrialization process from an African-centered perspective. That echoes what Kofi was saying as well. He says, in the meantime, though, you have to seize all the resources and nationalize them. That's the first order of business. Trade relations with AES should also be established as soon as possible. Well done. Just to go back up, Cheryl said, in my understanding, just because the desire to have a certain good is in high demand doesn't mean it benefits the group as a whole. Isn't capitalism partially based off wants and desire? The thing with capitalism is, Cheryl, if we're honest, it pushes wants and desires. For example, what's a good example? Oil, for example, or gas. Gas could be $2 a gallon. Some news person comes up and says, oh, that looks like there's going to be some fracas going on in Iraq. All of a sudden, gas is $6, $7 a gallon, right? They can artificially turn up the price, which is funny. They never turn it back down in most cases. but it's artificial, is what I'm trying to say. So that even supply and demand is artificial. Really, they can push that. You know what I mean? So that's why we got to get back into our own systems. Let's get with the things that people really need, right? Like I talked about Emil Cabral. People want to see their children prosper and grow and see themselves be able to live an enjoyable life. Those are the things, the needs that help with that. That's what we need to be more focused on. A couple more comments here. Capitalism generally benefits from dissatisfaction too. That's true. Which you could create that dissatisfaction. You know what I mean? Trigger says, yep, you need to manage the taste of people in order for them to keep buying things. I ran into a tweet that said that capitalism benefits from the insecurities of women in order to buy things. That's a true statement. Earlier when Kofi was talking about KFC in Jamaica, which I don't know if a lot of people notice. If I'm not mistaken, I think KFC in Jamaica, which is a shame in a sense, in a Houston, I think KFC in Jamaica is voted the number one. I think Jamaican KFCs is voted the number one KFCs in the hemisphere. And I think Trinidad is high up there, and I think the Bahamas is somewhere up there as well. Maybe Guyana too, as a matter of fact.
Yeah, they got Starbucks in Guyana too, so I won't pass it that they have a KFC. Yeah.
Yeah. Wow. Starbucks reached down there now, huh?
Yeah.
Yeah. See, I understand in the Bahamas because we're so close, and our whole thing is tourism. So they gonna want the shit that they
that they want that they have in the States.
Right. But further down, I'm really surprised Guyana has a Starbucks.
Yeah, I was surprised too. I was like, what?
That's wild stuff, man. But yeah, I think everything you guys have said here, I think is important. Is an important mindset, and this is what we have to discuss with the youth, because as we've been always told, the children are the future. The youth is the future. The youth have to have this mindset. What Kofi put down here, what Trigger have put down here, we need our 18-year-olds thinking that way.
I mean, I told my son that, like, I took my son. It's a little bit off topic. I took my son to the dentist, and I took my sons to the dentist, and one of my sons finished before the other ones did. He's like, "Dad, can I just go sit in the car?" No. He said, "Dad, can I take a walk?" I said, "No," and he didn't understand why I said it, because the neighborhood I'm in Queens, and the neighborhood that I'm in is a pretty much dominant white Asian community where my dentist was. So I told him, the only reason why I told him, to make a long story short, is that, you don't think it's not that I don't trust you. I don't trust the world. And I said, when you grow up, and no matter what you want to do, we're here in the States, but you have to think broader than United States as a place where when you have children, you won't have to give them this talk. Where you could be and do wherever you want and don't have to feel threatened or have to second guess where you are. So, so always keep in mind when you become an adult and you look at going, if you're either working with somebody or you're going to business for yourself, it doesn't have to be here. It could be a place where people look like you and me, and where you could have your own paradise, how it's meant to be. So I just wanted to add that.
No, good stuff. I'm glad you're teaching those youth that, man. That's why I teach my sons this stuff all the time, man. Because, we are, let me speak for myself. I think Kofi and I are about the same age. We are getting old now, man. We're getting older, and, it's likely not going to be guys like us who are seizing a state like Traore. I think Traore is like, 33, 34, something like that.
Yeah, he's in his 30s, yeah.
Yeah, he's still in his 30s. I'm pushing 50.
Me too.
You know what I'm saying? So it's for the youth. It's for, I was looking at, it's funny, I happened to look at the demographics of the people, the age of people that listen to this show earlier today. And it's like,
you're looking at your analytics, yeah.
Yeah, it's like 34 to, I want to say 50 or something like that. and there's nothing below 34. And I said, I gotta do something to change that in the coming years, because the young folks need to start getting this in them. While they still have the creativity, they still have that fervor, they have that energy. They got to start getting some of this, because you might end up in a situation where you need to build a nation. You might end up in a situation like that. And so,
Well, some people, I mean, what you're saying is absolutely true. That's why I really don't knock people like, I mean, I don't agree with them on certain things like O'Shea Duke Jackson, and people's like, oh, they don't like his celebrity junk. But I see what he's doing, right? And he has to if there's nothing wrong with talking about this, but other people, yeah, it's human nature. It's not just black people. People are like salacious news. They want to know if the Knicks was going to win this year. They want to know what's going on, what like celebrity stuff like Love Island, what's Beyonce doing and stuff like that. And sometimes you have to incorporate that. When I do my show, I kind of do that a little bit, not into the whole celebrity stuff. I try to make it like fun, but still interesting. You know what I'm saying? Because what we're talking about, like you say, Koku, this is nation building. Nation building is not always a fun thing to do. That's exciting. So you'll need to get very mature minds to do that. That's why your analytical algorithm is like that, because we're talking about grown people things. You know what I'm saying? This is a grown man. This is a grown man thing. You know what I'm saying? They're gonna look at, you know what I'm saying, some TikTok on some nonsense. So yeah.
Yeah. So but it's always good for us to challenge ourselves, even though we might be getting older, to challenge ourselves as to how do we connect with the youth more? Not necessarily the 14 and 15-year-olds, but how do we get to those 21-year-olds, those guys and gals who are maybe just coming out of college or around that age, rubbing shoulders with people who are thinking and doing, and you know what I mean? So that's something to think about in the future,
Yeah, I mean, we could probably change. I mean, it's about this. My suggestion, like, keep the content pretty much the same, but make it tuned in a little bit more to them. You know, you gotta use some bait. You gotta use some intellectual bait to get them, get their minds, get their brains turning.
Yeah, for sure. Last comment before we move on to the next topic. Cheryl says, Starbucks and KFC, two things we don't need, with the laughing emoji. Trigger says all of those will be banned in his world, like mine. But that goes back to our vision of industrialization. Fast food exists because Americans are constantly on the move due to the need for quick labor. We have to counter it. Yeah, we do have to counter it. I'll tell you a real quick story. When I was in high school back home, around the corner from my high school was a Popeyes. And I'm not lying to tell y'all, I thought Popeyes was a Bahamian chicken fast food place.
Really?
Yeah, I thought Popeyes was a Bahamian spot until I came to the States and realized, oh shit, no, that's here. That's from here.
Yeah, Louisiana.
Because back then I don't feel like this is I graduated high school in '93, so this is back then. I don't think it said Louisiana chicken. I'm pretty sure it didn't. It just said Popeyes. But you come to realize later on that this is how they start to get you. This is a part of that whole colonization thing. They push these little things in these countries, right? Like we have McDonald's. I knew that was an American thing for sure. But they push these little things in, and you start to run to these things because they're new and they're seemingly different. And you start to ignore the things that you have. Like we have something back home in the Bahamas called chicken in the bag. Chicken in the bag is fried chicken, French fries, and a dinner roll, right? In a brown bag, grease coming through the bag. You know what I mean? Bahamian style food. And when some of these Popeyes and things came in, people kind of abandoned their own Bahamian style food, which was open till 2, 3, 4 o'clock in the morning, and start running to Popeyes and stuff like that, and ignored their own, and that's a shame. And this is why I agree with Trigger that me personally, I would get them the F up out of my state, my country. You know what I mean? I would make sure to invest heavily in the local food customs. You know what I mean? Bring back grandma and them recipes and all that kind of stuff like that. That's why I would to trigger Abby's question, is the food cooked differently? Always. The reason why Jamaica and the Caribbean and all that has quote unquote good KFC is because we season the chicken the way we usually season
our food at home. Yeah.
Right. And so by the time we add there, what was it?
7 herbs and spices or whatever or something.
Yeah, 7 herbs and spices. By the time we add that, the chicken was good already. We already
My only pushback on the whole first thing, because usually, like, I guess my experience is different because especially my wife, like, we because I'm so Americanized, it's like my mother will hardly go out to get food to eat. The only time you get food to eat if you're like outside, like fast food, if you're on vacation, right? You're not sitting home and say, "Oh, give me some McDonald's." Like, what? Why is this chicken in the freezer, man? Defrost it, cook it. You know what I'm saying? No one's doing that. You know what I'm saying? But another thing I also want to push back onto is that there was always fast food. I guess maybe you guys talk about the fast food of today, but there was always fast food. You know what I'm saying? We have like little appetizers, like me, I'm Guyanese. We'll have pine tart, chicken foot, salara, certain things you have that you get, like street vendors. But like my father old and he old school. I've never seen my father eat a hamburger, a pizza. He'll sit there and just look at you. Man, I think junk food. Enjoy your junk food. To him, it's junk food. My father, raised in Brooklyn, he'll take me to the Guyanese or a Caribbean bakery. Buy here, eat some sweet bread. You want some? Here's some bun and cheese or something. That's what he would eat. Eat some salary, eat some matai or something like that. You know what I'm saying? He's not gonna sit there and eat a pizza. He's not gonna sit there and eat a donut. He does not eat them things. So I see what you guys saying because we were raised in our old ways. And me, I was raised, being that always. But we do. Look, the world is getting bigger. There's going to be things that people are going to have that's going to incorporate into your society, into your culture. I think our line of playing here basically is that we always have to remember our culture and who it is. Don't let another culture overrun or diminish the culture that you have.
Well said. Good punctuation to this prompt. I hope that the young and the old have listened to this conversation here based on what Dan Goatee had to say. And I hope that we are internalizing these ideas so that if and when it's our chance, we know what to do when that time comes. Let's go to Shoot the Breeze, topic number 2 tonight. It's only Kofi and I tonight, it looks like. I know Buana has some things going on family-wise, so that's maybe why he's not here tonight. But shout out to all you guys who are usually here, even when I'm not here, like Kofi and Trigger Happy 262, Cheryl, Daily Affirmations by Pauline, Sister Rob, Brother Bakari, all you guys. Shout out to all of you, regardless to what. Shoot the Breeze topic number 2 says, should some amongst us as African people need to be eliminated or unalived for us to be liberated? That's a interesting question that takes us to an Instagram post. On Instagram, let's watch this and then we'll discuss it. So as you guys can see, it's a very short reel. Shout out to Anthony McPhail. He says, peace. I'll be up in a few. I appreciate that, Anthony. Hope all is well with your mom and everyone as well. But Bakari said to Kofi in the last prompt, he said, I cooked me bacon, turkey bacon, egg, and cheese today. I didn't go to the Arab. So I appreciate it.
So did I, Brother Bakari, and I have mine with waffle in my house.
I appreciate that, man. I love it. So this is a reel that says white man becomes chief in Ghana. You don't want your own African black brother to become king for his people in Ghana. Why? The poster says here, I truly believe to be a liberated people around the world, a good amount of our own race need to be gone with the pew pew emoji from this planet. Let me see what some of the comments say. Someone says, remember, I've always said this. Unfortunately, a lot of us say, quote, look at China. They did it. But the Chinese Revolution had to unalive tens of millions of Chinese people to get where they are. Someone says, this is disgraceful. Someone else says, the sight of this made me so angry. I had to close the app and come back to even read the caption. Woo. Someone says, unfortunately, this is how they feel. I went to Ghana last and they treat black Americans poorly. They don't have to worry about me coming back. I prefer Tanzania anyway. That's interesting. Someone gives the Swaggy P question mark, questionable face gif. So white man become a chief in Ghana, but you don't want your own African black brother to become king for his people in Ghana. Why? And this brings us back to the prompt, should be topic number 2, which says, should some amongst us as African people need to be eliminated or unalived for us to be liberated? Before I throw it to my panelists, including my new panelists, Cheryl says, bruh. Trigger Happy says, just nonsense. King of the Black syndrome. Some of our people will laud this as us being genuine and nice, but to me, this shows that we have a very short collective memory. Our brother Trigger is from this region, as he mentioned earlier in the chat. So I'm sure this triggered him, so to speak. With that said, let me welcome in Brother Bakari this week. Brother Bakari, how are you this week?
Everything is everything, my brother. How your pops doing?
He's hanging in there.
Yeah, that's good.
Right now, thanks for asking. Right now, I think he's in a place in rehab where he needs to fight now. You know what I mean?
Yeah. But that's good, man. You keep sticking with
that
him.
said, yeah, for sure. With that said, let me start with you, Brother Bakari.
Okay. Yeah.
Ahead, Bakari,
peace to the chat
I'm
too.
sorry.
And what's up, Kofi?
Yes.
Hell yeah. The answer to that question, hell yeah. I'm on your panel, and you say unalive. I wouldn't have used that. I would have used the real word myself personally. But hell yeah. Did you see the president of Gabon walking around with a damn MAGA hat on? When he went back to
I
his
saw
country?
that. That was crazy. Oh, it's Gabon? Wow.
Yeah, that was good. So hell yeah. It's a lot of us. See, I'm gonna show you something, right? I'm gonna tell you something. Me and my lady, we be talking about separation. I'm gonna be honest, man. The first people we have to separate from, at least mentally, and don't go down that road with them in on debates and argument, is these FBA's, ADOS, Aboriginal, Indigenous, Black Americans. That's why I ask people, don't ever call me a Black American. I'm African American. Do not call me that. It's a whole lot of them that need to be gotten rid of. You have to. If you are trying to build something, and you have to be strong enough to say, I'm not going to let them in. I always go back to, for me. And I was talking to a brother today, and I always go back to, y'all don't hear me talk about my pops. I go back and I talk about like Fannie Lou Hamer's Freedom Farm, right? And my dad and Fannie Lou Hamer was good friends. So my dad and his friends copied Fannie Lou Hamer's Freedom Farm and put it in a place called Freedom Village, right? So they started the Delta Blues Festival. They want their name on nothing. You'll see it say Mesa organization, but that's not who started it. So this little town called Freedom Village, they did the Delta Blues Festival, right? And this blues festival was 24 hours. It'll be Saturday from 6 a.m. to about 9 a.m. on Sunday. Man, and they made money. All vendors, black, all everything. And from the process of getting the blues festival, before you know it, this little small town Freedom Village had their own grocery store. Then they went from their own grocery store to a hog farm. Then they went from the hog farm to the adding a honeybee farm where they sold fresh honey. Then they went from selling the fresh honey, then they had a rabbit farm. They was working on a turkey farm. It only took one person to go out there and convince some of these people that my dad and his friends were stealing. Like, if they were stealing like shit, I would like to know where the money went, because my dad and his friends gave they all. You understand what I'm saying? So they didn't keep, but it just took one. So, but if they had moved that one, and within a year and a half of my dad and his friends saying, you know what, we're gonna take our hand off it, y'all got it. And within a year and a half, everything they had shut down. Everything. 5-10 years later, white people control the Delta. White people control the Delta's Blues Festival, and they took it away from Freedom Village. Everything, the grocery store shut down, the hog farm shut down, the honeybee farm shut down, the rabbit. So yes, you have to get rid of these type of people, because if you don't, and I have seen it, we can read about it and see what these people have done. But if you're in a position and you can see it happen, I saw it happening. I saw this. You have to be willing to get rid of these people. We have to get off, yeah, they black, we gonna work with them. I understand we want to, but some of these Herschel Walkers, some of these Byron Donalds, some of these Uncle Ruckuses, ain't no such thing as not even trying to work with them. You have to say, you go there, you ain't welcome over here no more. Not on gang banging stuff, but on Pan-African nationalist stuff. We are building for us. We don't need you over here. We see what you want. Go over there and get what you want over there. You understand what I'm saying? I'll give the mic.
Good stuff, brother Bakai. Kofi dropped off. I was really looking forward to hearing what he would have added to this, but I agree with you, as you know, 100%. Somehow people got to go, man. We talked about this. What was this conversation? And we was cracking on Buana. Buana wanted to save the children. Yeah, Buana wanted to save the children, man. Some of our people got to go, much less other people. Some of our people are the biggest hindrance to our success. I had a conversation with a friend of mine. Kofi's back. I'll let him speak in a second and tell us what he thinks about it. But I had a friend from Trinidad, and we were talking about, growing up back home and how in the Caribbean we have this thing, and it's everywhere pretty much, where certain areas beef with other areas. So like in Nassau, if you from East Street, people from Camp Road don't like you, for example, right? And so what it does that people don't realize is, well, if I'm from East Street and I want to eat a nice pineapple tart, and there's a person in Camp Road who makes the best pineapple tart on the island, I can't go there. I can't go there. So what happens? That means less money is made by that person. Next thing you know, that shop and other shops in the area go out of business because there's not enough people to sustain it. And the reason that happens is because we got a set of people that would be willing to harm us if we came over there, and vice versa, right? And these are the people that need to be removed. The people that are stopping our people from moving freely amongst one another, The people who are willing to allow the outsider in and give them the privileges, the honor, and the prestige of a homemade Black equals African person. We got to get rid of these people. Now you see this video here? Damn it, everyone in that video should be taken out. What are you doing holding this umbrella? By the way, Trigger Happy, what do they call that umbrella there? What are you doing holding that umbrella over this guy? What are you doing conferring the rights of king on this guy? When is the last time have you seen someone from Mississippi or Alabama or the Caribbean who was installed as a king, as a chief or king in these places like Africa, like Ghana? As much as for as much respect we put on Ghana, when's the last time have you seen it? I know our boy Afro Think Tank was installed. I think that was in Nigeria, and that's probably the only instance I know of personally. Right? But when is the last time? With that said, Jose, our boy Jose Bronze says greetings to the family. I appreciate you for coming through, Jose. But what are you guys' thoughts in the prompts, man? Post more of your thoughts in the prompts in the chat so I could read it on air. With that said, welcome back, Kofi. Kofi, what are your thoughts on this?
Yeah, this is disgusting. This is despicable. I don't know how much money who he gave to whoever's in charge in order for this to happen. So that's number one. I'm gonna have a little take on it. So you said they did the same thing in China. So yeah, so you want to do what Mao Zedong did, and it's a hard thing to agree with, but it is a bit necessary. But let's go back and think that the same thing kind of happened in Africa, in Rwanda with the Tutsis. So I know it's not like a tribal thing, but we have to be very careful of what it is. So I guess in a situation like this, I don't know, it's very hard to say it without knowing what's going on exactly in that context there. So obviously whoever's in charge of that video let this happen. So pretty much you're gonna be saying death to the king. Because obviously whoever's in charge let this happen, thinks this is a good thing. So basically, saying it's gonna be pretty much somewhat of a mutiny and an insurrection at this point. But something like this, I mean, I wish I had more more context as to why they think this is something good, like this is a flex and this is not shameful. You know what I'm saying? Like what is it in it for them? I can't imagine what they think that's in it for them, but I really would like to know what's in it for them. And me playing my favorite advocate was devil's advocate. I don't know. Maybe he gave them something that was very beneficial to the community, so they deify him as a king with no power. I don't know, but it is something that it is despicable, especially.
Kofi, you're cut out there. I don't see any.
Yeah, so that's pretty much it.
Kofi, what was the last thing? What was the last sentence or two you said?
No, I said I'm pretty sure the chat is pretty much going to drag him through the dirt, and rightfully so, because something like this is despicable and it is reprehensible. Again, I think the last thing I said, I don't know if they gave him a bag or he did something beneficial to the group or anything like that. So they deified him as a king. So it's like, okay, this is a show of appreciation, but on the outside looking in, it is despicable. It is.
Yeah, I mean, you raise a good point. We don't know the specifics, but I don't know if a Chinaman, if he or she saw African being called a king of a province in China, I don't know if they would care about the
Nah, that'll
specifics
never happen.
either.
That'll never happen.
Right.
They even discriminate. I even see videos that they're discriminating of Africans in China. It's like they had like this one African dude because they're probably on a work visa or something like that. They were facing racism as far as like housing, getting food. Like y'all think Europe is racist? China, Asia is one of the most racist places. Just Google an African or a black person having experience anywhere like in China, Taipei, the Philippines, or China. Oh my God, they look at you like you're a zoo animal.
You know, I'm going to tell you, right? I'm going to say this,
Yeah, go
right?
ahead, Bogart.
Right there, I ain't even mad at. It's African people worldwide looking to be white adjacent. That's the problem. What's the difference in them and all of blagger and these black Trump strokers? What's the difference in them and black folks stroking Trump? Trump can grab the mic and grab the mic during the campaign and just talked about black folks, talk about how he want to hurt black folks, call them the blacks. And you still find black folks talk about how good he is. And those same people will talk about the president in Gabon. I ain't saying don't talk about it. Those same people will talk about this in Ghana. I ain't saying don't talk about them. But I'm just asking, what's the difference? There's really no difference. The only difference is they didn't get a chance to go out and walk around with Trump and call him king. But if you listen to him talk, he was their king. Nobody, no other group put up with as much disrespect as we do. Now these people for somehow have tricked the whole world, right? But I'm like Marcus Garvey when it comes to this. We, as black people, have let a group of people bluff us like they run the world. Their arrogance, like Marcus Garvey said, their arrogance is but skin deep. This is why I'm telling you, and I know people don't agree with this, because we break our neck to explain why words have meanings. And when we constantly call a different group of people supreme, I don't care about a system they built. So since they believe they better, they built a system. So our job, since we know they're not supreme or superior, our job is not to sit there and argue and say they are. Our job, we're supposed to be trying to tear it down. We're supposed to be creating our system in our community. But as long as we look to other people to always do something for us, they did it for a Chinaman. They ran over to Ukraine talking about school. Then when the war broke out, they mad because the Ukrainians telling them, you in my country getting these free benefits, you going to fight in the war. People got mad with what I said. I said, well, my country and they getting free benefits, I would have told them the same damn thing. If you don't want to be there and fight for them folks, stay in your damn country and fix your country. It's damn embarrassing. Now they're running to Vladimir Putin and black folks to talk about Vladimir Putin. The same man who said Africa ain't nothing but a burial ground for its leaders. But we always looking to somebody else for strength. It ain't other people no more. We gonna have to look at us and be like, damn, if they supreme, we just inferior. Whatever the opposite of supreme is, we are that. They have a supreme complex, a superiority complex. We have an inferiority complex. They feel they should be over everybody. We feel we are beneath everybody. If Mexicans
I'm sorry. I thought you were saying so.
Go ahead.
So pretty much. So let me go far. So you're on your Khalid Muhammad shit. So you have no problem with people calling you a black supremacist then?
I don't have a problem if they can be a white supremacist, why can't I be black supreme?
True. No, I said supremacist, not black supreme.
Yeah, but what I'm saying is supreme is the root word to that, right? So
Yeah.
when I look in our neighborhood, when I look in our communities, we don't have a community. We have a neighborhood. We have somewhere where people lay down. We don't own any business. I see Arab supremacy, since we're going to talk about supremacy. I see East Indian supremacy. I see China, Korea, Vietnamese supremacy. I see now, especially in the South, Hispanics coming to your neighborhood, mowing the lawns, pressure wipes, paint houses. I see their supremacy. None of these people will spend money with us. But when we want to go somewhere to have fun, we go into something they own. You want to take your family. You most of the time we take our woman out on a date. Oh, baby, let's go get some Italian. Baby, let's go get some Mexican. Baby, let's go over here to the let's go to the hibachi. Hey, baby, let's go to the African spot. Oh, I don't want to eat that African food. I'm just saying.
When you're right, you're right. When you're right,
When
you're
my
right.
when my kids graduated high school, if they was here right now, my two youngest, they'll say that they asked to go to Big Daddy's, black owned soul food spot. Dad, this is what we going to celebrate. We don't want to go there. Let's go to Big Daddy's. And every black child that walked in there in their graduation garb or their diploma showing they had graduated, they got a free meal, and they server from the owner gave everybody that graduated a free meal and $5 or $10 cash to put in their pocket. Ain't none of my Italian restaurants gonna do that for you.
Oh wow, that's beautiful. That is beautiful.
Ain't none of them Asians gonna do that for you. None of them Arabs, none of that. So it's time for us to look at us. So do some of our people need to be gone? When we look at us, Koku, Kofi, Trigger Happy in the chat, Jose, Cheryl, everybody in the chat, anybody who listening, yes, we have to get rid of them. However we want to get rid of them, we got to get rid of them. If we can put them in a car and take them somewhere and drop them off like they do their junkies when they get ready to gentrify, all of a sudden you start seeing a lot of white junkies in your neighborhood before you see the rich white folks. The white junkies come. That's what we need to start doing. Some of our folks. All these Herschel Walkers, they got to go. They got to go.
So So I like what you say there, Ricardo. So they should be outcasts. So we were talking about pewing, but they should just be outcasts. Now, if you have a black nation and a black society, sorry if I sound like FBA. If you have a black nation and black society in your own code, if you ostracize these people, you know what I'm saying, like pretty much walk them out of town, you know what I'm saying, that's it. Don't come back here no more. That'll be very, 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 very effective. You know what I'm saying? Death is even more effective, but hey, I'm a humanitarian. You know what I'm saying? That's if it has to be done, I'll give that person like I'll give that to a general. I'm like, hey, you're a general. Art of war is your expertise. Do what you got to do, and I ain't gonna ask no questions, and I'll leave it at that.
Hey,
Good
you're
stuff,
right. What you
guys. Let me
say?
introduce.
I'm sorry. Go ahead, Koku. I
Go ahead,
apologize.
Ricardo.
Go ahead. No, go ahead.
Okay.
Go ahead. I've been bumping my gums. Hey, let me say this right quick, Jose. I do follow you on Twitter. I be seeing what you put up. You put up some good stuff. Go ahead.
Yes, sir. Let's welcome in our brother Anthony. Anthony, how are you this week?
Hey, what's going on, man?
Good.
Hey, can you hear me? All right. I'm doing fine, man. Yeah, I had I'm a little bit late, man, because I had to go to my mom's house and stuff. Had to go over there and handle up and do some stuff over there real quick, man. But I'm good, bro.
Is your mom okay?
Yeah, man. Yeah. Man, when you're dealing with like an older woman, she's 77. She got multiple sclerosis, man. So if anybody know anything about that, you kind of know what it is, man. But
Yeah, MS, yeah.
Yeah, but she in great spirits though, man. Great spirits and that's good, man. That's good. Everything ain't no problem, man. Ain't no problem. Yeah.
Okay. Thanks for that, man. I'm happy everything is okay. Anthony, were you able to follow this prompt?
Yeah. I was checking it out, man. I want to say, okay. I had a couple of things to say. Okay, I'll start off with this here. Okay, yes, unfortunately, that's something that's gonna have that's gonna most likely have to take place. I'm trying to be different. Okay, yeah, man, we're gonna have to fuck up some people. That's it. You're gonna have to fuck up some people to get them out of your way. Now fucking up. Now fucking them up. Look at fucking them up could mean a couple of things. Now I remember I used to listen at Stokely Carmichael talk before he got into like the socialism thing when he was black nationalist. When he first started kicking with the Panthers, he used to say like Now there are people. He's talking about the internal thing in our community, in the black community here. He was saying we got some people who in our way. Now what we gonna do? First, we gonna talk to them. We gonna talk to them, and we gonna try to educate them in life. We gonna talk to them and work with. Hey, look, man, what you doing ain't right. Now Koku, I'm the perfect example because I was one of them Negroes. You know what I'm saying? And I had somebody come and talk to me. So I'm saying we're gonna talk to them first, and when we talk to them, and to get their mind right, okay, it's good. We gonna keep our eyes on you though. But when we talk to you, and then you go back and doing the same shit, that's when it's time to go and get rid of your ass. You know what I'm saying? That's the way I look at it right there. So I'm saying, yeah, we gonna give them a chance first. You know what I'm saying? We gonna give them a chance, hey, to try to change their ways. You know what I'm saying? Okay, we gonna talk to our brother. Cause see, a lot of times it's things are from out of ignorance. You know what I'm saying? Like when you a young brother on the streets, or and like how we was doing, terrorizing our neighborhoods and our people. You know what I'm saying? Sometimes you did shit that happened to you at home, and you took that shit, to the streets. You know what I'm saying? And sometimes, some people, it's hard to believe. You say, man, right from wrong. Cause we all know, when you're doing right, you're doing wrong. But like sometimes, we have our mind, because of being in this kind of system, and we have our mind on the prize. And the prize to us ain't black liberation, ain't black freedom. The prize is putting that money in my pocket. You know what I'm saying? And so we look at that and we'll neglect everything else. You know what I'm saying? And we'll just go for us, that individual shit. You know what I'm saying? And when your mind poisoned like that, you know what I'm saying? It's hard for you to this thing. Hey, look here, man. I'm doing this to my community. You know what I'm saying? So it's a hard decision, and because you want to. You remember some of these people are our family. Either one of us, we got sons and daughters. Our sons and daughters could be the ones out there fucking up. You know what I'm saying? Or could be the main one. Candace Owens, somebody's daughter, somebody black daughter. You know what I'm saying? Jesse Lee Peterson, all of them. You know what I'm saying? All these old coons. They somebody's children. You know what I'm saying? So I'm just like, yeah, we need to talk to them. We need to try to help. We need to get their mind right. But if they don't want to get their mind right, we're gonna have to get them out the way. Because look here, why did the Honorable Marcus Garvey's organization fall? Because of some coon-ass Negroes, some Negro sellouts. That's why his organization failed. That's how he got deported. You know what I'm saying? Gabriel Prosser. Down here, we got a word that we call niggas, that's Negroes that we call sellouts. No, we call him a Willie King. Like, because in Gabriel Prosser, when he was leading this rebellion, when he was getting ready to do it, it was a Negro named Willie King who went back and snitched on him. You know what I'm saying? For what they call this word, some kind of meritorious manumission, some stuff. You know what I'm saying? Where his slave master set him free and gave him some money, gave stuff like that. Well, he went back and sold out the revolution. So we call sellout Negroes Willie Kings down there. You know what I'm saying? You can't complete a revolution when you got with all them Willie Kings working against you. You can't fight against the enemy and Willie King them. You know what I'm saying? So you're gonna have to get rid of Willie King them. You know what I'm saying? One way or the other. It's like I think about that movie that Benny Siegel them had. Hey, you can either get down or lay down.
Yeah, state property.
Yeah, you got to get down and lay down. Okay, so I agree with that. Yeah, we gonna have to get rid of them. Okay.
Yeah, I kind of want to redeem myself. I'm sorry, Anthony. I didn't mean to cut you off. Go ahead.
Okay. Real quick, I don't know. Trigger Happy could probably tell me because I know the word, but I can't pronounce it because that Akan language. It's a funny sounding language. I mean, it's hard. Like words don't look the alphabet's backwards and it look different. But I think that umbrella was called like a Kenyinye. That's what I think it is, Koku. That big umbrella that they hold over the kings, over the Asantehene. I think it was called a Kenyinye. Yeah. It's a longer word, but that's a short version of it. Yeah.
Trigger said it's Bam Chim.
Yeah. I told you. See, it don't sound the way it's spelled, but I know it's a short word. It starts with a K. It's a Kinye, something like it's Kenyinye. but I know it's the way it's spelled, the way it sounds is different. But one other thing one thing I want to say, ain't no big thing. Like I was listening to what Brother Kofi had said at the end. I want to distinguish something. Okay, you know what that part what you said about a black nation and then FBA. What I'm saying is, okay, check this out. Malcolm X was a black nationalist. I'm a black nationalist. Koku is a black nationalist.
So is Khalid Muhammad.
Yeah, but and Carl, hey, and I was just talking to his son today. But look here, okay, they black nationalists. But what I'm saying, okay, FBA is not black nationalists. See, black nationalism, you talking about a black homeland. You know what I'm saying? Yeah. So independent black country, that's black nationalism. FBA, they don't want a homeland. They just want a better seat at the plantation.
Yep.
You know what I'm saying? That's why they call themselves foundational Black Americans. You know what I'm saying? We call ours different. We call it, we New Africans. You know what I'm saying? Different other name. But I'm saying, so we had to delineate. We had to separate that. FBA is not black nationalism. No, FBA is plantationism. Okay, black nationalism is a separate homeland. It's having your own homeland. Like me and Bakari and Buana, and how we got into an argument a couple of years ago about like if we hypothetically had our own black state and stuff. You know what I'm saying? Like black Mississippi, black Louisiana, stuff like that. So that sounds like a good conversation. Yeah, that's black. That's black nationalism having us being in power in our land. Okay, on your land, having your land. That ain't no FBA shit. You know what I'm saying? That comes from Malcolm X and with the Malcolm X grass movement and with the Republic of New Africa. You know what I'm saying? Now FBA is some other shit. They salute American flags and all of that is proud to be Americans and all that bullshit. I just want to kind of know the difference and let it know the difference between that. So FBA, like I said, I'm a black nationalist. Koku's a black nationalist. You know what I'm saying? Bakar is a black nationalist. You got some other people all up there who say they're black nationalists, but I don't know about that. But I'm just saying,
only raised up black nationalists because as kind of like a gotcha to make you think, because there's a negative connotation with white nationalism, but the moment you say you're a black nationalist, they try to imprint that same negative connotation on that. No, you can't do that. Like if someone said, if we say black power, is not the difference as a white person saying white power. Oh, what? So you have to be, why can't I say white power? Why can't I say white power? Am I supposed to be ashamed of being white? They're being disingenuous. Because you know what white power, only way a white man, this is historically speaking, they're telling themselves, only way white power is prevalent, it has to be through the demise of other people, through the subjugation of other people. Black power was never that. Indian power was never that. You know what I'm saying? Hispanic power was never that. White power has always been the subjugation and destruction of other people. So it was kind of like a little bit of a gotcha question, trying to, kind of make you think. But I do want to take my answer back, because when we look at Haiti and what Dessalines did, and you look into the Haitian history, they had to kill hundreds of Haitians, because they want to align themselves with white power and the mulattoes and all these things. A lot of them had to go. And you speak to a Haitian person that knows their history, they's like, not, we have to kill them. They say we killed so many of them, the river was running red. They had to go. So it's like, it is what it is. It is what it is.
Yeah. Hey, Kobe, check this out. One thing, like that question that you was asking, that you were saying to Bakar about the black supremacist thing. Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. This is the position I take on it. See, when white people hear that a black nationalist, you'll hear that talk like you had Dr. Martin Luther King and some of the civil rights guys. You say, well, we don't believe in white supremacy or black supremacy. But see, they didn't have the understanding that black nationalism is not black supremacy. It's not like I want to see some white supremacy, in which, like Bakari, that ain't, I don't believe in that shit. That ain't shit. That it ain't supreme to nothing. But what I'm saying, just because they use the word to talk up as a talking point. But I'm saying that means We rule everything over everybody, all you motherfuckers under our control. You know what I'm saying? That's so-called white supremacy. But black nationalism is mean us as black people having control over our own destiny. We don't want to rule over them or nobody else. We talking about our own shit.
Yeah, and that's why they like to. Yeah, exactly. That's why they like to call out those particular words, because saying black nationalism, because we know we're in a nation that's not our own. You know what I'm saying? So there's nothing wrong with going back to Africa, but Black Americans have blood that was spilled here, and they invested a lot in here. So you're not going to tell me to get the fuck up out of here, and I don't get mine. So if you don't want me to be around you, fine, give me what's mine. You know what I'm saying? And we'll establish our own black nation unto ourselves, and we'll govern ourselves. Just leave us alone. That's what That's what the NOI want. You know what I'm saying? To your point. You know what I'm saying? On white supremacy and white nationalism is taking care of everybody. I mean, it's not something that I like telling my children, but I said, when you understand the history, world history, and look, I'm not saying all white people are evil, but when you look at the history of white people, they're very, very parallel to cancer, right? We all know cancer starts off as a small cancer cell within the body. And then what does it do? It invades the rest of the body, takes over the rest of the body, and kills the body. You know what I'm saying? And that's how white people are. You know what I'm saying? So when we talk about white supremacy, you have to think of like you're talking about a cancer. You see, you have to think about you're talking about a cancer. You know what I'm saying? And so to the front right here, yes, it's saying yes to this one little white cancer cell, and cancer cells are white, I believe. You're saying yes to this one cancer cell, then your whole body and your whole civilization is going to cease. It's going to cease to exist, and that's the shameful part. And I'll end it right there.
Brother
Kofi,
Bakari
you know
wanted
what?
to.
That was great what you just said.
Go ahead, Brother Bakari. I was just introducing you. Go ahead.
I'm sorry. Kofi, that was great what you said about the cancer, because when they come and tell them, they ain't gonna just destroy the people, they destroy the animals, they destroy the trees, they destroy the earth, they do everything. They're gonna do everything to mess you over, to try to make you need them. And Anthony, I'm glad you said your mama was okay. I'm glad to hear that, my brother. Uh when you spoke on, you called him Stokely Carmichael. I happen to have spoken with his ex a few times because my lady is friends with his oldest daughter, being his stepdaughter. So I know his ex. She would be mad with you. She hear you call him Stokely. Can't nobody call him Stokely but her. But but anyway, the reason I said there's a perfect example for this prompt. Do anybody on here know why Kwame Ture left the Panthers in Oakland?
Not me.
Can y'all hear me? So y'all don't, okay, so let
Well, I
me tell
heard
you why.
different scenarios.
Say that again, Anthony.
No, I said I heard different scenarios, but go ahead.
He left the Panthers in Oakland because the Panthers in Oakland started allowing other people to be in charge of the organization. And if you look up, they created an
That's what I
Asian
heard.
Panther. They created
Yeah,
an
I heard the
Asian.
same thing. I heard the same thing. Yeah.
They created an Asian Panther, and that was the first person to sell him out because he was a CIA agent, and that's who they was getting their guns from. They created a White Panther. They created a Jewish Panther, and all those people had say so in what Black Panthers wanted to do for Black people. And Kwame Ture said, it didn't make sense. How are we trying to build ourselves, but we are still letting white people and Asians and everybody tell us what to do? You don't have to hate them if you don't want to, but we should be in control of our own organization. When you start seeing certain things come with the Panthers, go look and see. White people was in charge. When you start seeing that feminism start coming with the Panthers, you remember the Black women out there dressed a certain way and they had a few white women, one or two. When you start seeing gay people like Angela Davis speaking, go look and see who was there. That's why Kwame Ture left. He came back down south. Well, not back because he never lived down south. He was Trinidadian, and he lived in New York. So then he came down south to Alabama with SNCC, the original homes. If you look and see their logo, you can see the Panthers from Alabama. You'll see that's the original home. That's where Panthers get a lot of their stuff from. But the thing about it, the people in Alabama kept theirs strictly black. They kept theirs strictly black. But that's why Kwame Ture left. And when he left, you know who he became good friends with? Him and Martin Luther King. A lot of people don't know that. Certain things Martin Luther King started speaking out against, now this is coming from his ex who was with him at the time. A lot of things Martin Luther King started speaking out against, it was because him and Kwame Ture had become friends. And Kwame Ture looked up to Martin. I've heard him speak on this, the way Martin Luther King said, no, he didn't have no guns or nothing, but he still faced down with the white man. He said that's what he respected about him, that he wasn't scared to go out there and face him. He said he wanted to use the NOI mentality. Well, the NOI words, because he said he wasn't sure about the NOI mentality. He said the NOI say what you should do, but you have never seen them face down the white man while they laugh at Martin Luther King. He said we have to do what Martin Luther King did and use what the NOI claim they want to do. Yeah, but that's why he left. He left for the exact reason you see them marching around that white guy. He left because the Black Panthers were putting other people that wasn't black in charge, and they were having say-so inside of the Black Panthers and making rules inside the Black Panthers. I yield the mic.
Yeah, hey, bro, you're 100% right. You know, I ain't want to say it, but yeah, you're 100% right, because I know some of our brothers on the platform, you know, they love the Black Panthers and socialism, and that's cool. But I'm saying, I always thought in my mind, even though I respect, because a lot of them brothers was from my native state of Louisiana. Huey P. Luton was 90 miles from where I'm from. You know, H. Rep. Brown, 100 miles from where I'm from, in Alexandria. Geronimo Pratt from South Louisiana, New Iberia, Morgan City. He from down there. Some of the most prominent Panthers from right here. You know what I'm saying? But from the time they started aligning with the Communist Party, what happened? They got with the Communist Party USA. They became a militant integrationist organization right then. Right there.
Now, Anthony, right there. Anthony, right there. The pen right there. Now, I thought for that reason why they were more of a government threat, because they were shattering the barriers of racism, and they saw white people, Asian people, and black people coming together, and it wasn't this whole separation. Plus, they got guns, so now you have the white society galvanizing black pride and black identity and black rights. I thought that was the threat, but I did hear about Kwame Ture, you know, saying like, hey, you know, what's going on, and you know, they had ideological differences. I didn't learn Angela Davis was gay until much later, much later in life. But then it just all makes so much sense because around the feminist movement, and she gets pushed out there in front. Yeah, it's a mess.
Hey, if you listen to
let me say this right quick, Anthony. I'm gonna say this, then you can go. I promise I ain't gonna be long. Kofi, you said they were getting guns, but I'm gonna say again, they got the guns from a CIA agent. And that's where they got it from. His name is a Japanese guy, Yokohama Tashuma. Yeah, because I just made up a name. Yeah, but they got the guns from, that's his name. but go ahead, Anthony. That's all I wanted to say.
Yeah, his name was Richard Aoki. He was an agent, and that's who sold me guns. But I'm saying, if you listen at, it was this brother, he was in a member of the Panthers. His name was Michael Tabor. Now, he caught a charge, and he escaped. He left the U.S. and went and lived in Tanzania, where he died. Okay, Michael Tabor he did a speech. It was in Philadelphia. Listen at that whole speech. And that's when you hear them talk about all of those intersectionalities that the Panthers was embracing, like the white woman's feminism and the gay movement and all that stuff. If you listen at it, you will hear all of it in that whole speech. how, you know, the Panthers, they evolved from what they started from as a black liberation organization into a militant integrationist, really controlled by whites. Because you know what? All of those programs that like people like to say the Panthers did, yeah, they did those, but guess who gave the money to them though? Guess where they got the money from? You know what I'm saying?
Wait. So Anthony, let me ask something. So SNCC and all these organizations that Black Panther had, like the Home and Breakfast Program and things like that, that wasn't funded through the people.
SNCC was not
I'm not
Black
talking
Panther,
about
bro.
SNCC.
SNCC
I'm
was
not talking
not
about
Black
SNCC.
Panther.
Yeah, I'm not talking about SNCC. I'm talking about the Black Panther Party.
Oh, okay.
The Black Panther Party. I mean, it was, look here. Yeah, some black people gave money. They went to grow stuff like that. But I'm telling you, for the most part, it was white people giving them money. And when the whites stopped giving them all that money, that's when the organization failed, man.
Wow. Cheryl sums it up great. She says great information. So I want to kind of end that prompt with that. Great information at the end here, especially. I think we all have the consensus that we're gonna have to get rid of some of our folks. Shout out to Jose who mentioned Cape Verdeans. Some of them have to be gotten rid of. Shout out to KW Don 7, who's in the chat, who pointed out Dynast, and I forget who else he said, but some other folks were made princes and kings and whatever, and what have you in Nigeria. So shout out to that information as well. There was one comment that I wish I could have gotten some follow-up on. It was from Bertram Kazabon. I hope I'm not butchering that last name. He said the Egbo king was trying to build a sovereign Egbo kingdom in Ghana. This is the problem. He has been in Ghana for over 30 years and is married to a Ghanaian with no issues. This is not xenophobia. So I'm trying to figure out, is Bertram saying that this white guy is the Egbo king who is trying to build a sovereign kingdom in Ghana, and that he's been there for 30 years? I'm trying to understand if that's what he's saying. But this white guy was in Ghana for 30 years, married to a Ghanaian woman with no issues, and somehow this is not xenophobia. I don't know if Trigger Happy would have more information on that. But like I said, to echo Cheryl's comment, great information on that topic alone. I appreciate Kofi, Brother Bakari, and Anthony McPhail for joining me this evening. You guys don't have Jacadero today. Jacadero's at a African Senate event in his neck of the woods. He sent me some picture of jollof rice, Ghanaian jollof rice, and chicken and whatnot. So he's having a good time. Reminder, there's a poll up right now in the chat that asks the question, would you like to see Jacadero become the full-time host of Shoot the Breeze? Right now, last I saw, there was 83% said no, 17% said yes. So there is some interest. You guys continue to vote if you haven't voted already, as we try to make some decisions.
Coco, you need to put a maybe or not sure, because I'm not sure. I love Jacadero, but I come to you. I'm not sure.
Yeah, I'm not offended if you vote yes. By the way, maybe Jacadero is the breath of fresh air that some of you would want. Joe is in the chat, says good evening. Good evening to you, Joe. Trigger Happy says no, the white man is not Igbo. He is referring to the Ghanaians being outraged over the Igbo king wanting to build a kingdom in Ghana. I've been purposely ignoring this story, LOL. Jose said, yes, I didn't vote for that option is missing that Kofi would have just brought up. Good conversation. Please stick around. If you're in the chat and you want to join the panel, let's click the link at the top of the chat like everyone else did. join us and have your voice heard as well. Let's go to Shooter Breeze topic number 3 tonight. Shooter Breeze topic number 3 says African gender concepts versus European gender concepts. Is he correct in his assessment, or is he missing key components in his analysis given our divide? So what is that all referring to? It's referring to this post here on, what's this, Instagram. By Adateo, I'm guessing is the pronunciation, but I'm not sure. Forgive me if I'm wrong. Adateo says, every day I hear people say that if a black woman is exhibiting bold, aggressive, assertive, uncompromising qualities, she's being masculine. I challenge these people to examine the examine the archetypes of femininity found in the African/cultural sphere. Let me read that one more time. Every day, I hear people say that if a black woman is exhibiting bold, aggressive, assertive, uncompromising qualities, she's being masculine. Challenge these people to examine the archetypes of femininity found in the African cultural/spiritual sphere. He goes on to say over here, we have to stop letting these Eurocentric ideas around gender roles, masculinity, femininity, etc., influence so much of our thought process. Femininity from the African lens is not relegated to being nice, quiet, and submissive 24/7. Queen Cobra claps. Someone says the Yoruba Aweyo here have more discipline and respect for their husband through thick and thin, and may voice their opinion, which shall be accounted for, but respect the husband's final decision. None of the pushback and assuming masculine roles that undermine the man that you find in the States. Social media and weak cultural values plays a big role. There's a way to do things and still get your point across and express your emotions without compromising the household. So I throw it to the chat and I throw it to the panel. African gender concepts versus European gender concepts. Is he correct in his assessment, or is he missing key components in his analysis given our divide? So Trigger just said it's a slideshow. My bad. Let me go through it, I guess. Oh, okay. I don't know. Let me see something. I don't know how slideshows work on the web version of it. So let me see. Oh, okay, my bad. No, I got it now. Okay, so let's go back. So this was the first one I read about people say that if black women is exhibiting bold, aggressive, assertive, uncompromising qualities, she's being masculine. Then the next thing says, would we say that Idan Ogboni was being quote unquote masculine when Orun Miller called her to earth to introduce order and eliminate lawlessness and anarchy in the world? They even say that she had the strength of 1,000 men. Would we consider Oya masculine because she is described through Oriki praise poetry as growing a beard during times of war, as leading her husband into battle as fiery, as fierce, etc.? Oya would not be considered quote unquote feminine by today's Eurocentric standards. Would we consider the Ayami to be masculine because they have fought with countless Orisha from Orun Miller to Obatala? Was Orisa Odu also being masculine when she killed Orun Miller's other wife for breaking a covenant? So okay, there's more. I wish this was better. Okay. Would we consider Osun to be masculine because she shut down the male deity's efforts to build roads, houses, etc. on earth when they refuse to include or acknowledge her, ultimately having to beg for her forgiveness. We could also look at countless historical examples. Was Yaa Santua of Ghana, quote unquote, masculine when she led the men to battle against the British? Was Queen Lozi Kia from Zimbabwe masculine doing the same in her country? What about Queen Nzinga? Okay, so it seems like that's where it ends. There's no arrow showing to continue, but it seems like that's where it ends. So Trigger, I appreciate you speaking up and letting me know that there's more. I personally can't see the arrow that advances or even goes back. I'm just clicking in the general area. So I appreciate that there. So you guys heard the slide. You guys on the panel, you guys in the chat. So chat, I'd like you guys to really respond to this. Because sometimes I do believe, I'm just going to be real with you guys. I do believe that sometimes some Black men, African men, push for women to be something other. And I think sometimes we use these types of examples to kind of justify these things. I'll give you a parallel. We sometimes, not we here, but in the Black world, we would sometimes look at an instance of a man wearing a dress in some part of ancient Africa and say, oh, look, see, they were okay with homosexuality. And no, that's not what that is talking about. Just like I don't think the examples used here really supports the intended argument. This is me personally. But I would be curious to hear what others of you on the panel have to say. I'll start with Brother Bakari. Brother Bakari, what are your thoughts on Shoot the Breeze topic number 3?
I had stepped away, so I got to listen again. Let somebody else go. I'm sorry, because I
my bad.
tell you, I meant to tell you I was going to come back, so I had stepped away.
Okay. Can I get this one? I'm anxious.
Go ahead. Take it over.
Yeah, I mean, I love that breakdown of what it is to mean for a woman's strength. Okay, so Westerners, Europeans, they think a woman is weak, right? And this is coming from their culture and their religion, where a woman is nothing but a vessel, right? She doesn't have any real body autonomy. Is where pretty much whatever the whatever the man says goes, and the woman always has to be behind the man. So a woman is never seen as a pillar of strength in no way, except for working with children. So the breakdown that they gave with all the orishas, as well as also there's some female deities within the Egyptian pantheon as well, that are warrior like Bastet, right, and all these other deities that they have is an example, as well as Nzinga was my favorite female warrior. They see these women as outliers. That okay, yeah, they're just an exception to the rule, but the majority of women can't be that. Again, this is all a form of colonization and how we see that, right? In Ghanaian customs, or have you could probably tell me. And when I was coming on my niggerdom, I was talking to a guy. He was from Ghana, and I said, "What's your name?" And I asked him to explain his name, and he was like, "The name that I have is from my mother's side." I was like, "I find that interesting." And I kind of knew the answer, but I asked him anyway, "Why your mother's side?" Because I came from my mother. I didn't come from my father. My father contributed to everything, but I physically came from my mother. So I have my mother's name. I bear.
Both of your audio cut out. Kofi? Yeah, Kofi audio.
Kofi got to get rid of that Elon Musk internet.
That Starlink ain't doing you right there. But you know what I'll do? I'll go to Anthony, and then I'll come back to Bakari, and then we'll see if Kofi got it together. Anthony, what say you?
Okay. This was an excellent prompt, man, but for different reasons. Hey, you can hear me good, Bakari? I mean, Coco?
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
Yeah, because mine kind of messed it up a little bit, too. Okay. This was an excellent prompt, but it was, okay, I'm gonna get it this way. Okay, number one, okay, Kofi was on the right track when he was talking about that colonization. See, when Europeans and when Arabs began coming to Africa, you know what I'm saying, and influencing the way we think, the way our worldview, the way we see it, you know, taking a lot of us away in parts of Africa, like in East Africa, you know, particularly also in parts of West Africa where Islam spread, where you begin to see this kind of thing, especially when the Europeans came, you know, with the full colonization. So you see this, us, especially us as brothers, as black men, starting to embrace some of that same kind of ideology that the white man had. Kobe was right. The white man didn't give a damn about his woman. He thought that's all she was. She was shit. Something to go and, you know, toss up and do what you gonna do with her and go ahead. But you gotta, but like in our cultures, like on back from the early the Nubian civilizations, the Kemetic civilizations, and all over Africa, you know, we always held a woman in high reverence. Check this out. You know, when you see a picture of a lot of the pharaohs of Egypt, the ancient Egyptian kings, they would have a woman standing beside them with her arm around him.
Yep.
You know what I'm saying? They have a woman standing beside him. He might be sitting on the throne. They have her with her arm in a loving way, you know, a loving image of her with her arm around him. Or they have a picture, have one of him standing up, looking powerful and strong, his mother on one side, his sister on the other side. Okay. The kings of Nubia, the kings of Kush, rather, they had a real powerful, a matrilineal kind of thing. You know, I mean, it was a matrilineal ascendancy, how you became king. Okay, you couldn't become king unless the women, like your sisters, your mother, your sisters, and all the women, like they co-signed with it. You know, they'll choose, you know, whatever brother was gonna be king, they had to co-sign with it. So they said, okay, we think he's good. He's a good person to be king. He has the qualities and all that stuff. So, I mean, you know, the woman was valued. Now, this don't mean that, okay, like, you know how in today's modern terms, how you hear some of these fools say, oh, these Negroes talking about the woman, talking about the black woman is God and stuff. Which she is in some ways, I believe. But I'm just saying, you know, they try to do it to denigrate the black woman, to say like you want to, almost how, you know, how they were used to call you a hotep, and like that's a bad thing. You know what I'm saying? Well, if you're a brother that respect women and value women, you know, some brothers would think that you being weak or something. Well, you're not. In the beginning of that prompt, they were talking. See, that's one thing we don't understand, because a lot of us don't study. They were talking about the Orishas. When you look at the relationship between Olodumare and all of the Orishas, his sons and daughters, the Orishas, like his relationship with Yemiya and with Oshun and with excuse me, with Oshun, with Yemiya, with what's the other one name? Y'all call it out, man. I be forgetting. Oshun, Yemiya, and okay, man. Hey man, hey y'all. This Dr. Carter's son calling me right now. I'm gonna have to decline him. Think of the relationship that Olodumare had with the Orishas and all of the power and everything, because you know Olodumare, he relegated power, he relegated responsibilities to the Orishas. You know what I'm saying? And if you see how all of the responsibilities that he gave Oshun, that he gave Yemiya, that he gave I want to call her name, Oya, and others. You know what I'm saying? You were like, you were just like, you know, this is in traditional Africa. This is before colonialism. If you read about, if you wow, now, you would have all of the answers that you want. Damn, he's still calling it. Want, to a question like this. Our relationship between the way we as men and women function in Africa. In ancient Africa, before colonialism, before invasions from other people, before these influences from other people. You called out all of those great warrior queens and those great heroes and those great sheroes like Queen Nzinga and like Queen Mother Yaa Satawa and like Nihanda Chawe Naika Sakana in Zimbabwe, Matantisi. You know what I'm saying? All of these women who fought our enemies and who stepped up to power. You know what I'm saying? And brought and consolidated power and made their people great, a great nation, and all kind of things. You know what I'm saying? So I think that excuse me, we didn't never had that kind of thought. We knew roles. We have roles. We knew that that's a role in society for the men, and it's a role in society for the women. You know what I'm saying? And each role is valuable. Each role is needed. You know what I'm saying? Now, in certain times, it come a time for where, you're gonna have a queen idea who's gonna step up to be the first queen of the first Yoruba queen, ruling queen. You know what I'm saying? A Hangbe in the kingdom of Dahomey. Certain times came around where they was the one who had all of the answers. They were the one who had the solutions. And so everybody said, you know what? She's the best person for the job. You know what I'm saying? And they didn't have no problem with her being the king, the queen, brother, being the ruler. You know what I'm saying? We had a concept of what's best for the people, what's best for our community, what's best for our society. You know what I'm saying? So look, I ain't gonna go on that long, man, because Kobe missed out on a lot of his time, and I yield to Mike.
No, good stuff there, brother Anthony. Shout out to the Forecast Radio saying what's up to myself, the panel, the chat. Y'all say what's up to Forecast. Trigger Happy said to what Anthony was saying. Trigger Happy said, yeah, true. Queen Mother was important to the process, no doubt. Earlier he said naming systems used to be tied to totems, and the circumstances to which the child was born. It's a very delicate process. Trigger was responding to what Kofi had been saying. Kofi came back for a brief moment and left again. I guess he's having connection issues. Trigger said, yeah, Kofi, to be honest, I'm going to find a prompt on this, but the whole naming system we currently adopt by way of Christianity has completely morphed our past naming system. Yes, sir.
Hey, Koku, I'm going to get off. I got a call. That was Dr. Collins' son just calling me. I'm going to call him 3 to 1 and I'll come back on.
All right, do your thing. All right. So before I throw it to Bakari, let me just read some of the comments. Cheryl says, all roads lead back to religion. Isn't that interesting? All roads lead back to religion. Although I'm not mad at African spirituality. But I don't like when certain things are taken out of context, which is kind of what I took from Anthony's response, and applied to a current thing. And I'm going to read a comment that talks about the current issue in a second. By the way, Cheryl, I'd like to hear your complete thoughts on this, so post your thoughts in the chat for me, please. Trigger says, like, my issue with the comparison is that he is comparing our current problem of broken families and trauma versus the dignity of our ancestors in the past. Also, our ancestors has extreme strong bonds, and I think that's important. Before you start to compare us to our ancestors, you have to understand that very point that Trigger's making here. He says, right now, the bond between black men and women is not to its highest capacity versus in the past. There is a clear balance between men and women and an understanding of strength between both genders. With that said, let me see if Brother Bakari has any thoughts on the prompt at hand. Brother Bakari, any thoughts on Shooter Breeze topic number 3, African gender concepts versus European gender concept. Is he correct in his assessment, or is he missing key components in his analysis given our divide? What say you?
Well, the gender concept, when you go through history, right? The way Europeans treated their women, a woman was just for having babies, but they would say real love is between a man and a man. Y'all ever seen that movie 300 about the Greeks?
Absolutely. Yep.
Okay, do you know why they fought so hard for each other? They were taught at young age to love men. If you don't believe me, look this up, to love one another. So
Yeah. Their generals used to force themselves on privates and stuff like that
yeah,
to push
so
that whole idea. Yeah. Go ahead. Sorry.
they were fighting for the man they loved. I cannot remember this president's name of this country. He was either 13 or 15. He was an odd number. He was openly gay in this country. He was number 13 or number 15. Look him up. Look and see who was the first president used the term first lady. And you will see they try to switch it up now. It's hard to find, but it was him. Whoever he was 13 or 15, he was openly gay. Uh the term first lady, he created that term for the White House because his niece used to be at the White House. And what he said was women was meant to serve. So he had his niece. But true love is man and man. So when you look, and we are looking through their lens, and we can see a strong woman. And today, because we look through their lens, because we don't know us that well, we will say that woman is masculine, or that woman is gay, right? She a dyke, she a stud, she a bull dyke, as the old folk used to say, right? But we don't ever think to say, you know what? We saw our women different than they see their women. That's why we treat our women here and in today's society. That's why we treat our women the way we do, because we're trying to, once again, it's back to, they're trying to be white. So what do? You put your woman down, you tell your woman she's nothing. That's how you can control your woman. But you notice, as they're trying to be white and they control their women, they have consistently tried to put the black woman in control of the black man. But if we knew who we were, these gender wars on social media wouldn't happen. The one guy, the Samuels guy, he wouldn't have gotten popular because our women walked with us. We were partners. They were not beneath us. But today we want to be like them. So whatever it is a man may have had on in Africa back in ancient times, and somebody can look at that and try to say, ooh, that black man, see, they were gay. They wore dresses back then. No, and I'm not saying it wouldn't. I heard people give the argument there were no gay people in ancient Africa. I wouldn't honestly say that because I think gay is a mental disorder. That's me. It came from somewhere. Something had to be wrong for. But anyway, that's something completely that's off topic. But that don't the way we dressed or the clothes they had on didn't represent a man trying to be a woman. They have a show on it was on Amazon or Netflix. It's a series. It's a movie. They did a series. They did a movie called uh The King of Boys. The King of Boys was a woman. She was in charge of men. Now that was a recent show. If you look up the one-eyed queen of Nubia, y'all know who the one-eyed queen is. Look and see how she led her people to fight against the Romans. We never had a problem with our women leading the charge. That is something they did, always did, and still do. So now, since we are caught up in this society and we don't fight the things off they do in every way, we start to do what they do. And what's that? We want to dominate our woman. We want to control our woman. But I tell everybody, if you want to, like when Anthony was talking about the influence the Arabs about there with Islam and how white people came in and however these groups came in, if you're trying to be like those men and want to control your women the way they control theirs, beat your woman. I'm not advocating for you to go out and beat your woman, but if you want to do everything they did, go beat the hell out your woman. It used to be about 10, 12 years ago, you could just look up, you could Google domestic violence, and you would just see pictures of women, white women just beat. Now they have switched it up. And now their stats say black women. I don't necessarily think that is so. Even when you read the Quran will tell you, the Quran say if your woman disobey, you beat her till she obeys. That's what they do. That's not what we do. But in society, and when you're trying to be something that you are not, and you're confused, because we are confused, we end up emulating the same thing we claim we hate. We end up trying to be it. On that, I hear the mic.
I appreciate that, Brother Bakari. What Brother Bakari was saying was what I was trying to say, but in a different way. I was speaking on it in Trigger Happy's way. His analysis, the guy who's posting this on Instagram, he's leaving out the fact that we are not in our right minds right now, men and women, black men, African men, and women. What he's pointing to is a different time when, as Brother Bakari pointed out, we had better relationships between ourselves. We've been contaminated now, and now we have, in today's society, in the black society today, because of the contamination, when a woman is doing some of the things he would be referring to from the past, it's on a different frequency than it was in the past. And that's my thing. His analysis is missing that key part. By the way, Bakari, the two presidents you could have been talking about was Fillmore or Buchanan. I think you're talking about Buchanan because he was never married. So he's probably the guy who was gay. I didn't know he was open.
Yeah, Buchanan. Yeah, Buchanan.
Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah.
It
So
was Buchanan.
That's my only thing with his analysis. But everything you guys are saying are correct. By the way, Trigger said, he said, which is a key point in their attempts of dominance, they have to eliminate the man and assimilate the woman. So he was supporting what Bakari was saying. He mentioned that, I guess Bakari was talking about Queen Amanirenas.
Yeah, that's her.
Yeah,
that's her. The one-eyed queen of Nubia. And the only reason they didn't completely defeat the Romans was because Egypt refused to fight with her. If the Egyptians, according to history, had chosen to fight with her, our history in Egypt is possibly, it could be completely different.
Right. In the chat, Trigger App, he says, like, instead of our people embodying a Garvey or a Sada Shakur, some black women are bragging that they go to college more than black men, far from Queen Amarinas. Cheryl says, now we got a bunch of women who say they don't need a man, but find themselves well off financially, but lonely. Yeah, that reminds me, we had this conversation a few weeks ago when I was hosting the show, and we talked about that. Cheryl also says, because they don't realize you can't live without the other half of you which is a man. Kofi didn't come back. I don't know what's going on, but does anyone have any last thoughts on this prompt?
I have a question. Why can't I see none of Cheryl comments unless you put them up here? What's up, Cheryl? I can't see none of her comments.
Cheryl might be on the KWAZ radio side because I do
okay.
here and there, so she probably is over there. All right. But if no one has any last thoughts, I thought that was a real good analysis by everyone. I just think when we just not us here, but in general in the world, when we put these think pieces out, we do need to add some nuance and some important details in it. I would love for our women in general today to be like the women he would have mentioned from our past. But unfortunately, we've been negatively impacted. And our men, context. That's the word forecast, context. But because of the way we've been infected, both men and women, not just women, both men and women, the way we've been affected or infected, certain analyses are not sufficient. Kofi came back. Let's see if Kofi would like to finish his thought on this. Kofi, what say you? Unmute your mic, brother.
Oh, my bad. No, I'm not sure if you remember what's the last thing I did because I'm in the store and I realized my phone shut off and I was talking like an idiot. So I'm not sure what's the last thing you heard me say.
Take it from the top.
Well, basically, I was saying that this is a westernized ideology that a black woman she's just a vessel. She has no autonomy. She has no thoughts or anything like that. She's just a vessel, right? And I contribute that to the culture of America, but that's more. I think religion plays a part of it, especially when you talk about Adam planting the seed, and you always hear religious people, the seed comes from the man, and I'm of my father's seed, and this, that, and the other. So a woman is nothing but a vessel. You know what I'm saying? She's a vessel and she's a servant. So when it comes to power, you know what I'm saying, in Western societies, it's always a male figure. So it's very alien when a woman asserts any type of power. They see that as being masculine. Same thing when you think of Cleopatra. When Cleopatra was meeting Mark Antony, they kind of laughed at her like, okay, a woman king, this is, a woman that's a king, that's funny. You know what I'm saying? They never respected her as a ruler. Like, these foreigners are backwards having a woman rule. But she was a great ruler. Another good ruler was Hatshepsut. Hatshepsut was Egypt's another female pharaoh. Right? And I like the analogies that they had using the Orishas. Because there's female Orishas that are warlike. Even in Egypt, in the Egyptian or the Kemetic pantheon, you have Bastet, you have different female netters that have a warlike mentality, right? Oh man, I don't know if you can still hear me. You can still hear me?
Yes, sir.
Okay. So there's a lot of things in our culture, about our culture, that just simply doesn't agree with that. And only if you're a person of the Abrahamic religions, you will co-sign that type of thing. So again, you got Queen Nzinga, you got the woman king. You have a lot of females that have that show the leadership in a strong way. Look on Netflix. I was supposed to do a video about this. Look on Netflix. Oh man, I forgot the name of this story. It's called Woman King. It's not like the one from Viola Davis, but it was something called African Kings or African Queens of Stories, and it's a reenactment. It's beautiful. It's a reenactment of how Queen Nzinga came to be in her position. Now, it's beautiful because what they say, they think, oh, okay, yeah, you're the oldest daughter, but they want the man to be, her brother to be the king. He was fucking weak. He was weak. Everything in that narrative, everything Nzinga says not to do, he did, and he ended up getting screwed over, right? So if you have a Western mindset, oh, he's a man, and there's strength in men, she was much smarter than him. Much more. You gotta understand, war is mostly mental, then physical, right? And he just failed as a king. Simply, he failed, and she was victorious. So we have a very poisoned, westernized mindset of what's a woman's power. There's places in, I think the last thing I also mentioned, I think this brother was Ghanaian. I don't know if he was a Khan or not, and this is when I was getting out of my niggerdom and everything. And I was talking to him, and he told me what his name was. And I was like, where did you get your name? He said, I got my name from my mother. I was like, interesting. Why did you get your name from your mother? He said, because I came from my mother, right? So I have my name, my mother's name, and my father gave me my first name, right? And that's how. So I found that to be very interesting. And people don't understand, African women played pivotal points in societies. You couldn't do certain things or be a king or be this without, there were women on these councils. You know what I'm saying? So again, to not understand this is to be extremely Europeanized or Arabized, and you just don't know who you are. That's pretty much the gist of what I was gonna say.
Yes, Europeanized, Arabized, Islamicized, Christianized, all that type of stuff that's foreign. We're infected. Brother Bakari said if Kofi don't get rid of Starlink, he will fall off again. LOL. So keep that in mind, Kofi.
Hey, Kofi.
Yeah, Anthony, go ahead.
Okay, yeah. I just want to. I checked that program out, that Woman King thing. I looked at some of it. I looked at a little bit of it. What Kofi was talking about. I seen some of it. But
it was good.
Yeah, and like I had already had read like years ago about Nzinga's story. But I seen it. I ran across it the other night, man. I said, yeah, okay. But what I wanted to say was, like, in West Africa, one of the most powerful kingdoms in West Africa, and and of course we know about the whole legacy of it being involved in the slave trade. The Dahomey Kingdom. Okay, in the Dahomey Kingdom, the religion, okay, the belief system of the ancient Dahomeans, of the Dahomean people. When you get into it, which is called voodoo, which is where where you when you go to Haiti, that's where it comes from what is now modern day Benin, the ancient Dahomey, the Dahomean kingdom, the kingdom of Dahomey. Okay, their religion, what a lot of people don't know, in their belief system, the creator deity is a woman. In the Fon people, in the spiritual system of the Fon people, is a woman, Nana Baluku, and she's one of the most revered of deities, in West Africa, among people who still follow the traditional belief system. But yeah, the deity, the chief deity, the creator deity in the Fon kingdom, in the kingdom of the Dahomey, among the Fon people, was a woman named Nana Baluku. I just wanted to throw that in. She's one of the only female creators that I ran across, at traditional African belief system in West Africa. Yeah, the creator was a woman named Nana Baluku.
Good stuff. Good stuff. I wanted Bakari to hang around because this next topic, I heard him bring it up on, I believe, on Kofi's live stream this week. By the way, if you're not tuning into the Forecast Radio, Kofi the Black Critic, Consider Cheek and Forecast together, I don't know what you're doing. Our matron was on up to last night, pretty late. I don't know what you're doing. So make sure you guys are tuned into everyone's shows on KWAZ Radio. But this next topic, if you guys don't mind, I'm going to go to Shooter Breeze topic number 4 for time's sake. Shooter Breeze topic number 4 is reclaiming the N-word or making fun of N-words. And Bakari says he had a phone call. He'll be back. But Bakari, I think you would appreciate this topic. Shooter Breeze topic number 4, reclaiming the N-word or making fun of N-words. This takes us back to Instagram. And some of you might have seen this clip during the week. I'm going to play it a couple times, at least twice, so you can get the gist of it.
Why the criticism doesn't matter to us when you call us Nazis, see this and not see that. I'm beginning to think they don't like us. You know what? I've said this before. We need to learn from the blacks. The way they were able to remove the power from the N-word by using it. So from now on, it's what up, my hey, what up, my hey, what's hanging, my
no, please.
This is why the criticism doesn't matter to us when you call us Nazis, see this and not see that. I'm beginning to think they don't like us. You know what? I've said this before. We need to learn from the blacks. The way they were able to remove the power from the N-word by using it. So from now on, it's what up, my hey, what up, my hey, what's hanging, my
no, please.
Oh boy. Cheryl says, not the blacks. Yep.
Even a fight.
They went.
Yeah, he's triggering us. He said the blacks. He meant to trigger us.
Yeah. He absolutely did it, which is why the prompt is written that way, right? Reclaiming the N-word or making fun of N-words. And like I said, I heard Bakari, I believe it was Kofi's channel, he talked about it. But now I'm giving you guys a chance. I'm hoping the chat will post their thoughts so that we can have a good rambunctious conversation around this. They want to.
I want to let it be known that they were saying Nazi, not nigger, because they were saying Nazi for some reason. They were blurring out the word Nazi, so they say we should adopt the how black people adopt the N-word. We should adopt the word Nazi. So they were saying, "Oh, what up, my Nazi?" and "Nazi, please," in replace of the N-word.
Yes, and they reference this notion that a lot of black folks in America have of that they've reclaimed the word nigger to mean something different than what it originally meant or denoted. And so it's a whole joke. And the white lady at the end probably delivers the most striking blow in this diss of black folks, right? When she says, nigga, please, in a mommy-esque type voice. It's a very interesting clip that just occurred. I hope everyone is paying attention to that. In the chat, Matron says this is mocking the so-called reclamation of the N-word. And then she says there is no reclamation of a word we didn't create. Absolutely. But I like that.
I like that.
I'd like to hear what Kofi has to say. Kofi, I'll let you take it away. And then Anthony, and then our newest member of the panel, I'll let her go. So go ahead, Kofi.
No, I like what she said because we never created, so how can we get it? And he said something that's false, and this is an internal problem that Black Americans have, and because they feel that I understand why you have to reclaim that word and take the sting of that word. If for the most times that's a word of violence, that's a word of violence, that's a word of war, right? And I understand if in your day-to-day life, you know what I'm saying, you have people that are probably in their 80s and have passed on, hearing that all their life, you know, I understand they'll try to take, you know, something as bitter and try to turn into something powerful. I get that. But it's bullshit. There's a lot of people that will agree with Gutfeld. That's the name of the guy that was saying that stuff. That will agree with him saying, yeah, we took it back. And my thing with this is always if you took it back, so there's no problem if a white man called you a nigger. No, that's different. What you mean that's different? Well, he said it with the hard ER. This is a thing right now for the past couple of years. Oh, he said nigga, but it was okay. But he said it with an A, but he said it with an ER. I'm like, that's the most moronic thing I have ever heard. You know what I'm saying? It's not a whole new word. You know what I'm saying? So if the N word, if black people have taken back the N word, it would be you will hear it on the radio, you'll hear it on TV, you hear it everywhere. But the reason why you don't hear that is because that we haven't taken it back to mean something else, and it still means what it's supposed to mean. And I hope it still means and it stays that way. You know what I'm saying? Because all that is trying to take the sting out of something that's still stinging you up to this day. And we're talking about the N word, and the thing you got to understand. No shade to my brothers, you don't know in America here, because you guys been through been through hell. The Caribbean was bad, Africa was bad, but you guys been through some shit over here. So I get it. I'm just saying from being someone from the Caribbean, we don't use that word. That word exists in our vernacular, but it's used in the context that it's meant to be used to disparage someone. So me being from Guyana, right? If an Indian was to tell me that, we fucking fighting. No, he's not saying, oh no, nah, I meant it in a jovial, congealed way. Nah, fuck that. You know what I'm saying? If another black person call you that, we'll feel the same. Like, yo, who you calling nigga? And I try to say that the N word is its own thing, because you have to understand that in the Americas wasn't the only place that was colonized, right? You have in South Africa, their N word is kefir. They don't go around South Africa saying, "What's up, my kefir? I'm keeping it real, my kefir." They don't talk like that. You know what I'm saying? In the African Muslim world, Habib, Haswad, that's a Arabic name for derogatory name for black slave. You don't hear people from Senegal and Sudan and Somalia go, "Hey, Haswad, hey," they don't do that shit. You know what I'm saying? That's insane. But I do understand, like, I will use the word, but I use the word in a context to talk about someone's mentality and who they are. I'll never say, "Wait, I'm using this term as a form of endearment." That's fucking insane. That's insane. But I do understand the culture of why it's being used. So he was right. Oh, God, we're going to take the N word back. And I see and I understand that effort. But you never take back a word that you never invented. Out of the all the words that you could use in the English language to exalt black people in America, or what have you, you're gonna keep and hold on to the word that was the last thing that your ancestors heard when they fucking died and was tortured? Are you fucking insane? That no one is saying that on this panel, but I'm talking to the black people that say, "Nah, it's okay to use the word nigga. I use it as a term of endearment." You know what I'm saying? To me, it's despicable. I know I've talked enough, and I'll pass this to the next panelist.
Good stuff. I like the passion behind that discussion. I'd like to hear from Brother Anthony next. Anthony, what say you?
No, it ain't a good word, and it ain't no redeeming it. No, and we ain't reclaiming it. And it is fucked up, man, because we say it sometimes like amongst each other. You know what I'm saying? And like my mama despises it. Anytime my mama hear me say that, my mama right now today is here, I'll wash your mouth out with soap. You know what I'm saying? She despises it. And being a hood guy, you know what I'm saying? A hood guy from back in the days, yeah, every now and then sometimes I say that. But no, the fact is, it ain't a good word. It ain't a good word. It ain't nothing redeeming about it. I even hear Negroes running around here trying to say, well, it really means king. Somebody, this niggas and all this old mess. All this foolish trying to make it like that Ethiopian word or negus.
Yeah, that's stupid. Like, it's Ethiopian word. And I said, Ethiopians weren't West African, so we never used that word.
Yeah, it don't have nothing to do with that. And you know what I'm saying? So they come up, even the Nagas from out of India, South Asia. They come up with all kind of words. Negroes will come up with all kind of words to defend some shit like that. But no, I ain't gonna never defend it. I know Bakari don't like it. I've said it a couple of times. Bakari say, Anthony, he'll say that to me. I'll say, Anthony, no, we don't say that. Yeah, and he right. No, it ain't nothing good about it. And it ain't no reclaiming it. It ain't our word. It ain't nothing you can do to reclaim that shit. That's a garbage word, like you said. When they was lynching you, they was saying die nigga die. You know what I'm saying? So no, it ain't nothing good about it. You know, I try to keep it out of my vocabulary. I don't never say it in public anyway, around nobody. I damn sure don't want to hear no honky saying it. You know what I'm saying? They're calling me that. But no, it ain't no good, man. It ain't no good. It ain't no reclaiming nothing like that. But one thing I want to say before I go off though, increasingly, this is what I've been finding. Increasingly, now at one time it was just it was say black people. Well, the white folks called all those niggas. They call black people niggas in Africa too. You know what I'm saying? They call black people niggas in the Caribbean. That was their word for us. But increasingly, I'm finding that in Africa, in parts of Africa, West Africa, in other parts, even in South Africa, and even growingly in the Caribbean among the younger people now, the ones in their 20s and stuff, you're hearing them now saying, my nigga.
Yep,
that's
true.
Listen to that Burna Boy.
Yep.
Burna Boy say my nigga. Burna Boy say my nigga in all his songs. You know what I'm saying? Listen to that Burna Boy. Yep. Hey, it's this sister, this beautiful sister, man, from Guyana. They call her, I forget her name. She's a model. She sings too. Real tall shit. She call herself Sexy Tolly. Beautiful black woman. And she was like, she been on IG a lot. She's an influencer. You know, and she was just saying, my nigga, and all that. And like I said, I heard people in other places. I've even heard like Ira Star kind of say it passively. You know, if people, because they got drill music in West Africa now. You know, brothers doing drill music sound just like them Negroes in Chicago. And they always, my nigga. You know, so to them, these young people, because you know how these young cats, they all, how they have cultural exchange with each other. And now, you see brothers, cats in West Africa or in South Africa wearing their pants, sagging all up their ass and shit. You know what I'm saying? Thinking that, this hip hop culture is some shit, is like really like black culture. That ain't on our culture. That's some bullshit. But I'm just saying, as these young people get into the music, the music ain't what it used to be. You don't have messages no more. All you had is negative bullshit. You start to hear African brothers and sisters saying my nigga. I mean, I hear them go to the UK. They say it all the time. My nigga, hey my nigga. You know what I'm saying? I'll be like, damn. But it ain't nothing good about it. It ain't good when I see it, ain't good when none of us see it. You know what I'm saying? So I'm not all right there. It's garbage, man. It's a garbage and we need to do away with it.
Yo, Anthony, if you get the name of that IG model, let me know.
Okay.
All right, brother.
Before you go as well, Afro Native World asks a question. Anthony, do you believe my computer? Damn it. It says, Anthony, do you believe in using it for ignorant, self-destructive, so-called black culture? I don't know why that question was asked, but Anthony, what would your response be?
Yeah, the times where a lot of times when I use it, when I get disgusted with somebody, you know what I'm saying, that they doing some dumb ass shit, I try to make some dumb ass point, I'll say, you niggas, you know what I'm saying? Like that, but it ain't good then neither. And like I be trying my best to try to keep it out of my vocabulary. You know what I'm saying? So now, yeah, I get the point what he's saying, but no, it ain't never good, man. It ain't never good for me because it's just like, calling your child a certain name. You keep on calling him dummy. You call your child dummy all the time. They're eventually gonna think you're a dummy. You know what I'm saying? Or you keep on saying that word. Eventually, brothers, we heard nigga so much, we started thinking we was niggas. You know what I'm saying? So, it ain't never good, man. We need to get it out of our vocabulary. And besides, we got a beautiful word to call ourselves, Africans.
Yes, sir. I appreciate that, Anthony. Some people say my mic might be low. Let me turn that up a little bit. With that said, a couple of comments caught my eye. The matron said a term that was created to denigrate us can never be a term of endearment. The reality is this is a game the whites are playing to make us devalue ourselves even more. Trigger Happy said Ghana did the drill scene first. Didn't know that. He said Kematiyu is much greater than the N word. Matron says they are saying the N word because it is a cultural export from the power structure sent via Black American music schemes to other blacks globally. Yeah, I was going to say that, and I just didn't say it, but Matron is correct. That's that. That's that exporting of degenerate Black American culture. Not again, degenerate Black American culture. I'm not talking about Black American culture as a whole, but they focusing on that degeneracy that seems to be popular and makes money from white folks all over the place, and they export that out till, in these far places, and like in Africa, folks is repeating that stuff too. So it's kind of crazy, which is also a thing that we're gonna have to kind of monitor in our quest for power. We got to monitor what we consume and what we allow to be brought in and all that kind of stuff. But I digress. With that said, let me hear from Sister Amma, who's been waiting patiently. Amma, what say you?
Oh my goodness, thank God. Because this word. Okay, so I remember like when I was younger, like growing up, like when you would hear like the sitcoms from back in the day. Like I'm talking before it became nigga please or nigga this and nigga that, and before it was in all of the um before it was in all like the raps and everything. The first time we heard it, it was like in black sitcoms from like the 80s and 70s, but they would be like, Negro, please, right? We would hear that a lot. And then I think the transformation of the word, honestly, I don't think it's as deep as a lot of people make it. And I'm a girl, like I grew up in the projects, right? I grew up in the projects of Philly, and to me, it wasn't a regular part of our dialogue. Like it's not like you just having a conversation with somebody in the hood and they just be like nigga this, nigga that, nigga, unless they like are aspiring rappers or something like that. But I think once white people got a hold of the word, they started talking about all of this. Oh, the blacks are trying to reclaim it, and they're putting their own spin on it, talking about we trying to reclaim this word and this, that. And let me keep it real. Like I don't use the word, all right? I don't use it regularly when I talk. Usually when black people say nigga, like, and you just having a conversation with them, it's because it's out of a emotional expression. It's not like a cultural thing. Like it's something that people say based off of an emotional expression. Now, I'm not I'm not trying to advocate for the word or in any way because I don't use it. It's just not a regular part of my talk. And the majority of people that I knew growing up in the hood with, that's not a regular part of their talk unless they doing a rap or something. Now, is the word destructive? Of course it is. I wouldn't I wouldn't myself use it. I wouldn't say I have a child now. I wouldn't be like, okay, you can use this word because we're reclaiming this word. Like that's a white narrative. This whole reclaiming of the word, that's a white narrative. The whole idea that it's black culture, it's just something that has evolved over time. It's something negative, and I wouldn't say that people should continue to use it. But it's kind of like when black people from back in the day, they're like, oh, these black people need to pull up their pants. These kids don't da 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 da. They need to pull up their pants. It's like one of those type of things. It's like, okay, to me, I'm like, you're right. It doesn't look visually appealing, but after they pull up their pants, what is the next course of action? And that's the problem that a lot of people have in getting to that next step. Okay, they'll pull up their pants. Respectability politics, great. We all pull up our pants now. We all stop saying the N word. Now what? And that's the problem with, I feel like, a lot of our people. Okay, what's the next step? That's the biggest thing, because we think, because we're so ingratiated in respectability politics, we can't see past nigga, and we can't see past pulling up the pants, because there needs to be a next step. And that's what gets it for me. And as far as the N word becoming a part of people's black people's vocabulary, I mean, I'm sorry, a part of black people's culture, it, I don't see it as a cultural thing. And I don't think it's a cultural thing. I think it's something that something negative that has evolved from back in the day. Like, because when you remember back in the day, you always used to hear black people say in the 70s and the 60s, 70s and 80s, they always talk about Negro please this, Negro please that. Anytime black person say something crazy, Negro please, right? So I think it's an evolution of that. I wouldn't advocate for it, but that's where it come from. It's not black culture. It's just something that that it occurs, but it doesn't occur as much as white people say. They just listen to Lil Wayne, right? And they're listening to all of these rappers, and that's what they hear. And therefore, if I hear it in the music all the time, then it must be black culture. But we all know who's behind the music industry, the rap industry in America. Who? I'm not going to say it on here because we're on YouTube, right? But let like, seriously, they're not saying these things unless they're given the platform, right? So just keep that in mind, and I'll end there.
Appreciate that, Cheryl. Hang on with us we have one more topic after this to go, if you don't mind. But I have to kind of echo what Afro Native World said. He said New York kids say the N word every sentence. In fact, I've heard them cram in 2 or 3 N words per sentence sometimes. It's astonishing. But thank you for that, Cheryl. Yeah, YouTube. YouTube says a lot. With that said, Brother Bakar, you've heard, small hats is another way of saying it. But Brother Bakar, you've heard everything everyone else had to say and type in the chat. I know I heard you discussing this briefly on Kofi's channel the other day. What say you to all of it?
You know what? In all honesty, I'm not even mad with them folk, because I try to tell black folk to stop saying it. One of the craziest things we say is, oh man, she said it with the hard ER. I want anybody on here to speak normally how you normally speak. And let me hear you say the word brother. Speak how you normally speak and say brother. Can one person
the
say
hard
it?
A?
If you think about it, say sister. The words that end in ER, African people, we pronounce them with an A. So that's the dumbest thing in the world. They said it with the hard ER. That's the dumbest thing in the world. The word need to be completely gotten rid of. The lady that was just speaking, she said, "What's the next step?" First, you have to do step 1 before you do step 2. Step 1 is having respect for yourself. If you don't have respect for yourself, you will never make it to step 2 to start. You said the next step. You will never make it to step 2 on building a community, turning your neighborhood, not my hood. See, because the N-word created a lot of things. How many black people say they live in a neighborhood? Most of them say they live where? The hood. We completely got rid of our neighbors, but we all have neighbors. Your neighbor was friendly. Your neighbor was loving. Your neighbor would watch your kids. Your neighbor would feed you if you're hungry. But we got rid of that. We're in the hood. So now it has gone from the hood to I live in the trenches, like they at damn war. I live in the trenches. But it all came from when NWA made the N-word popular, because it went together. Remember? N-word and hood. It all went together. So when those people sit there and laugh at those black people who want to use those words, I asked them, why are you upset? You said you're reclaiming something that you didn't make up. I'm not upset. because I don't call myself that. And I can't be upset for you because you call yourself that and you call every other black person that. I can't be upset for you. Anthony was talking, he talked about it's a song I used to play, and I just used to like, how do I get rid of this word? I can't. His name is Dear Silas, he got a song called Gullah Island. If you listen to it, it has a message. The whole song is talking about black nationalism, how black people have created their own communities, how black people own all the businesses, how black people own all the banks, own everything. That's really the basis of the song. But he don't say. Now he did say in that song, what he say? We're not saying welcome to the hood because there ain't no hood. Tyrone and Keisha doing pretty damn good. But he still called us the N-word in that song in the process of talking about the greatness that we can achieve and what we should do. The N-word was the last thing folks heard, right? When they were being killed. Like I say, my stuff come from my parents. I'm 53, but I had old parents. My dad was born in 1920. You know how many times he heard black people? My mama, 1927. My great grandparents on both sides was born enslaved. You know how many times they heard being called the N word by white folks? But I'm gonna show you the type of respect we get, right? We won't say, "Can I speak freely, Koku?" Because
Yes, sir. Do your thing. Do your thing.
I can speak freely. Okay, the N word. You can say that all over YouTube. People don't want to say Jews are kikes. See, a kike is a derogatory term for them. They don't call themselves that. You can't call them chink. You can't call the Asians chinks. You can't talk about the Arabs. You can't call the Mexicans wetbacks. You can't do none of that. And we follow them damn rules. Bow down to them. And we let people get away with constantly saying the N-word all over social media and don't nobody ever challenge it. And the only reason I say those words, because until they tell folks you can't say the N-word. You can't tell me I can't use the word kill. I got to say unalived. I can't say Jew or kike. I got to say small head. You a damn lie. I ain't bowing to those rules. I can't. If they continue to say the N-word, and if we continue to make excuses for people that saying the N-word, and we see how destructive it has been. Go back to oh my goodness, I can't think of that brother name. In the UNIA papers, the Negro World. It ain't new. An editor, a journalist in the Negro World, he wrote how black people, he wrote an article about how black people shouldn't use the N-word, right? A white guy. Some people call them small hats. Some people say they Jews. Some people say they kikes. I just call them white people because that's all they are. I don't separate them. Just like they don't separate us, I don't separate them. Because white people working together. It ain't just YouTube, it's white tube, right? So now watch this. So a white guy come back and write a paper challenging it. He said this was back in the early 1900s, before Marcus Garvey was deported. So you know how early that was. What he wrote in that paper, when they hear a black person use the N-word, it sounds so good. It sounds so good. What he say? It sounds like a coin off the pavement. It's just in rhythm the way they say it to each other. The guy who, the reason NWA broke up, that white guy, I can't think of his name. You can go find his video. He was talking about the reason. Yeah, him. The reason he didn't want to deal with the New York rappers because they was wearing the big dookie chains and the baggy jeans, and they thought they were so. But when he heard NWA and they were saying the N-word and they were talking about the hood and they was talking about what going on in that hood and N-words doing this and to doing this, and oh man, we just knew we could sell it because it was so honest and real and it was raw and it sounded so good. Just think about that. But then I heard somebody say the other day, if you say something about a Jew, watch what happened. Yes, because Jews don't sit down and call themselves kikes. If you say something about an Asian and call them a chink, whites, what happened? Yeah, because they don't publicly, I don't know what they say, but they don't publicly say these things about themselves. If you call a Mexican wetback, yeah, because they don't publicly say these things. We publicly say the things that our ancestors heard last, but we say we value our ancestors. We publicly say the things that our ancestors who was enslaved heard. See, I'm one of the few people that can say, I ain't never used that word. Never. You know why I never used it? Because it was a whooping in my house. That was an ass whooping the first time. Not, I'm gonna give you a chance now. Don't say that word. My daddy sat down and taught me about that word. And if I ever hear you use it, this is what's gonna happen. I saw my daddy throw people out of my house for using that word. Don't you use that word in my house. You got to go. Ain't a second chance. You got to go. Don't use that word in my house. The word is destructive. There's nothing endearing. There's nothing loving about that word. Think about it. Whenever somebody using the N word, most of the time when people talking, they're saying something like N word steal, N words lie, N words use words they really don't even know. Uncle Ruckus, N words use words they use words they really don't even know. Whenever, then we want to say, "What's up, my N word?" That's my N word. I've heard people literally on YouTube arguing about I'm a real N word or no, I'm the real N word. You know, I'm like, oh my goodness. They are literally arguing in front of the world about who's a real N word. It was absolutely insane. And I just turned away from there. But the word has been very, very, very destructive to our community. You can call me by my name. You can call me African. You can call me king. You can call me God, but you can't call me the N word. And it's just that simple. On that note, I yield the mic.
I like to add before I give it to Cheryl to speak. There's an Asian rapper. I can't remember what he goes by, but his whole thing, one of the hit songs he had on like YouTube and stuff, is he's rapping, nice little flow, but then he goes to say the word, the N word, and he literally has a bunch of black guys behind him, and one in particular covers his mouth and says the N word for him. I'm like, look at this nonsense. Look at this nonsense.
Is it China
You
Mac?
guys are no, it's not China Mac. It's a young kid. It's a young kid now. Um, One of these days I'm going to try to bring the video, but he's rapping along and he wants to rhyme something with the N word, and a black guy covers his mouth and says the word for him, and it's like, look at this nonsense. You know what I mean? But with that said, Cheryl, what would you like to add?
Yeah, I just want to make sure that um people in the chat know I don't advocate for the word at all. I don't use the word. My dad is 70 years old, right? My mom is 66. So I mean, I didn't grow up in a household like that. Like it just wasn't even a conversation in my household. I never even would think to say that word. Because you get slapped upside your head, but the question, if Koku could put the question back up, um that question, it was, are black people trying to reclaim the word, reclaiming the N word, right? And I don't think black people are trying to reclaim the word, but I think because the word is given so much attention by white media, that's when you get like what you were just someone was just explaining about the Asian guy talking about N word this and N word that. Well, you know, certain people have control over media, and that's how you get certain people saying the word because they popularize it. It's not a word that we should be saying, but keep in mind we don't have control over information. We don't have control over any of that. So that's why you see on an international level, you see it being popularized. If white people didn't want the word popularized, it wouldn't be popularized. It would just be another word. It would just be something amongst Black people that we say, and that we would tell, that the older people in our community would say, hey, don't say that word. Eventually the word would fade out. But because the word receives so much attention from white media, that's why you hear it even more. Does that make sense? Like, if a white person takes a liking to something, or if they want to make fun of you on a global stage, then they'll take a word, they'll take a dance, right? They might take uh I don't know, a movement, something that we do, and they'll popularize it, and then they'll make it you into a world joke. So it doesn't really matter what it is. It can be a dance. You could be twerking, you could be pop locking and dropping. You see Asian people doing that all day long. They hire Black people from the United States to teach them, and they give them millions of dollars to teach them how to do the Black dances and all that stuff. So I guess my point is, it could be the N word, it could be an expression, it could be a dance, it could be whining, right? Um, if you go to these other countries, they're doing all of that, right? And some of them aren't doing it because some Black people are like, well, if somebody emulates you, then it's the highest form of flattery. In your mind, it's the highest form of flattery, but in their mind, you just a nigga whining, right? A nigga, right? You're just a nigga whining, and you just a monkey, right? You think it's the highest form of flattery, but it's really, you think they're trying to copy everything that you do because they like you. No, they don't really like you like that. You are a fetish to them. So N-word, a dance, an expression, they see you as a joke. Doesn't matter what it is, right? And I'll end there.
I appreciate that conversation. I'll just point out, Brother Bakari in the chat says, Cheryl, you're on point. I'll just point out that what's funny about this topic is that it really isn't about Black folks reclaiming the N-word. It's really about white folks reclaiming their N-word, Nazi, right? And in the process, making fun of this notion that Black folks have reclaimed the N-word. When the white woman at the end says, Nazi, please, that she's clowning. She's straight up clowning. But that's the part that's kind of being missed by many. A lot of people watch this for the Nazi part, but really, it's clowning Black folks in this prompt. I want to get to one last prompt before we call it a night. I know you usually end at 11. Y'all just bear with me, but this one I had to get to tonight. I think it's important because Shoot the Breeze Software number 5, fellas, who knew you needed a gay guy in your life, says Obama. You needed all this time, you didn't know it. Obama knew you needed a gay guy in your life. Let's hear Obama talk about it. Oh, now it's acting up. God damn. I hate when that happens. Let me stop sharing for a second. Let me refresh it. See if it'll come up. And then I'll share it. I thought this was so friggin' ridiculous this week when I saw this a couple of days ago. But at this point, I'm not surprised by what Obama does, to be honest. And I doubt anyone here is surprised, but let's see if it'll work this time.
Things that I think a lot of times boys need is not just exposure to one guy,
one dad.
One dad. No matter how good the dad
is, he can't be
like
everything.
he can't be everything. And then that boy may need somebody to give the boy some perspective on the dad.
Yeah,
right.
yeah.
One of the most valuable things I learned as a guy was I had a gay professor in college at a time when openly gay folks still weren't out allowed, who became one of my favorite professors and was a great guy and would call me out when I started saying stuff that was ignorant. You need that to show empathy and kindness. And by the way, you need that person in your friend group so that if you then have a boy who's gay or non-binary or whatever, they have somebody that they can go, okay, I'm not alone in this.
Yeah.
Right. So
you heard it. You need a gay friend. You need a gay dude in your circle, says Obama. Anthony, did you know that the thing that you needed most was a gay guy in your circle?
And I still don't know it. You know what I'm saying? But I'm just like, but hey, you know, I mean, after what I seen Obama do and tried to do to our people on the continent, I mean, you know, try to push the LGBTism thing over there. You know, I mean, even threatening countries that we'll take aid away from you if you don't relax your laws against gay people. You know what I'm saying? Against the gay communities and stuff. I'm like, out of all things to do, why is this a thing? You know what I'm saying? Why you worry about pushing something like this? You know what I'm saying? I mean, you let those people in whatever in their particular nations deal with their own situation. Why is it your goddamn business? You know what I'm saying? But you know, it's always an agenda. You know what I'm saying? I mean, and I don't know, man. It's just a bunch of foolishness, man. You know, and I just like I don't even want to hear none of that. It's just some stupidity, man. It's just like, man, I let somebody else deal with. That's just ignorance to me, man.
You know, Obama's one disappointment after the other, man. Bakari in the chat said, this is one of the things wrong with the Democrats. They constantly fight for LGBTQ and compare their struggles to ours. Kofi's out there laughing. Bakari is laughing. Bakari, what would you want to say about that now after Anthony said his piece?
Look, if you go back and listen to that again, you notice when he tried to say, if you have a gay son, go listen to how he struggled with that coming out of his mouth.
Yes.
Did you pay attention to that?
Yeah, I saw it. Yep.
He did not want to say that. It's almost like he done got a check and somebody done told him, you got to say this part too. You have to say this part about if your son is gay. He did not want to say that. But that is absolute foolishness to tell somebody that you need a gay person in your life. Now here's my thing. I don't want to see a gay person that's black. I don't want to see them hurt. But we don't have nothing in common, really. We ain't gonna be hanging out. I'm not one of the people that say I want to see all this stuff happen to them because they are gay. Since I believe it's a mental problem, and the mental problem started with the person that touched that person, that touched that person, that touched that person, that touched that person. I don't want to see. I don't want to see because if you think about it, when they're black, they're really not harming them just because they're gay. They're also harming them because they're black. Not saying I'm going to stand up and go cape for every black person. But what I'm saying is that the LGBTQ world is not my world. I'm not in that world. So to tell me I need somebody from that world to come and teach my kids, come because your dad is not everything. What can someone who's LGBTQ come teach my son? You understand what I'm saying? Your kids, because you living in this world and you going to college or you just out living in this world, they're going to see gay people. and you on a job or you own your own business, you're gonna interact with gay people. See, when I was pressure washing, there was quite a few gay people that used to call me to pressure wash their house. I had to interact with them because I had to get that money. In all honesty, I did. I had to interact because it was business. There was a business transaction. I pressure wash the house. I do your driveway. I do your back patio. It's gonna take me about an hour and a half, maybe 2 hours. You give me $250 for them 2 hours. Okay, and that was it. But I didn't need one of them in my life and need one of them to come and teach my son something, just in case my son is in case one of your sons is uh uh non-binary or something. He's struggling to see it. But no, that is absolute nonsense where you need a gay person in your life. I don't knew gay people, but I ain't need no gay person in my life. And I hear the mic.
Yeah, I agree with you 100%, Bakari. It's also another put down of men again too, because how come I don't need a gay woman in my life? But it's an attack on manhood again. Like, yeah, you need this gay guy to be around you and teach your son, because sometimes you're not enough as a man. You're not enough. You need this gay guy to come. Like, nah, I can't. But like Cheryl says in the chat, Obama got me fucked up when I saw this earlier this week. Cheryl, I'll let you add your thoughts here as well.
Yeah, well, maybe Obama has a gay man in his life. We never know. He does have a white mother. So I think the whole alphabet community, like for black people, it's a mental illness. But for white people, it's their culture. And since Obama's mother is white, what he's saying probably makes some sort of sense to him. So, I mean, that's what they do. That's what they've always done since Greco-Roman culture. So, um, I don't think he's necessarily, from his perspective, I don't think he's necessarily wrong, but it's not right for us. It might be right for some other people, but as Africans, this is not a thing. We don't do this.
Yes, indeed. Thank you for that. Cheryl, last but not least, we got Kofi rejoined us. Kofi, what say you to what Obama had to tell us?
That I share Cheryl's thing. Obama got us fucked up, but we all know Obama was the perfect Trojan horse for white ideology and things like that. At the same time, it's the U.S. presidency. I was very well aware that a black man is not going to change U.S. policy, because understand what the job is as a president. Understand what the job is. No matter who you put there or whatever, the job still remains the same. Um, and it is an insult to black men. We have to understand something about Obama, right? His father was not in his life. He was raised as a white man. I'll repeat it again. He was raised as a white man. Father was not in his life. He knew he was black. His grandparents really didn't want nothing to do with him. They call him, they really didn't accept him, right? His name is Barack. If you read his autobiography, they call him Barry. Well, what is that? That's very ethnic. Like, we're gonna call you Barry, and he let them call him Barry, right? So he's assimilating. He has no choice. He got a white mother, grandparents that don't like his maroon ass. You got friends that don't want to pronounce your name. You're not gonna chastise for that. What does he get out of that? Okay, fine. My name is Barry, and Michelle Obama was the first black woman he ever dated. He dated nothing but white women. You know what I'm saying? So, and again, so when he was the president the first time, his first term and his first administration, and I just knew this shit was just gonna come trickling down. And it was Father's Day. And you guys may not remember this. he chastised not all fathers, black fathers. He chastised black fathers. You need to be in their life. You need to do this. You need to do that. He's continuing. Yeah. He may be saying, generalizing now, right? But he's a quote unquote black man talking about fatherhood. So you think a white crack ass person not going to see that? Yep. Tell them niggers, Obama. Tell them. You don't think you have people listening to that? White people listening to that saying, yeah, be there. You know what I'm saying? So it's Obama doesn't surprise me anymore. Again, he's a very intelligent man. Brother Bakari, that's very, very, very a good ear. Is like he was like, okay, during this interview, you have to say that. And he was struggling with it. He wasn't tripping over his words. Obama knows what he's gonna say. Obama is a very intelligent man, but it seems like, wow, I gotta wedge this this message in here in my whole diatribe, right? The thing that I love this topic, but this is a topic where you guys are gonna make me the bad guy and the typical, oh, look at the liberal. Two corrections here you're gonna just have to make. The first one is that homosexuality is a mental disorder. It's not a mental disorder in that way, as far as like, I was sexually molested or sexually assaulted. That's not true. That's not always the case. There are cases of that. I argue that with other people when people say, "Oh, you were born that way." Bullshit. That's not what it is from full beginning to full stop. Some people, either they find their quote unquote truth along the way or whatever. It's not something you're always born with. I know people in my life that I've grown up with women that were man crazy, they're men crazy, and Then they even told, yo, this chick turned me out. She turned me out. At first, she was like, nah, let me do you. You don't gotta do nothing. I'm like, girl, are you crazy? What's going on? Nah, I tried it out. I'm not gay, but I'm not doing them. I'm gonna let them do me. I'm like, girl, is this so you don't like men? Oh, hell no, I'm still strictly dickly. Call 2 years later. Nah, I'm strictly clickly. I'm like, what the fuck? What's going on now? So they don't like the extreme left don't like to talk about that nuance, right? So it's not a mental disease. And put it like this: if you guys, this is a very famous video. If it was a mental disease, right? Why do we have gay people in Africa? If you know the famous Uganda video of the guy that says, you are gay. Why are you gay? Right? She was talking to a transgender, lesbian, whatever the hell you want to call it, type of woman. And there in Uganda, that is frowned upon. That is frowned upon. Why would someone choose to do something like that, knowing it can mean their very life or their very livelihood? Put it like this. If you understand the brain chemistry of somebody who's homosexual, their brain chemistry is wired differently. Obviously, it's wired differently. I'm a man. He's a gay man. I cannot understand why he likes men. I can't fathom that. Why? Because I'm not him. His brain and my brain is not the same. It's wired differently. If you understand anything about sociology or biology, it's like that. There's gay people, there's gay people, there's gay animals, there's gay. It's something that is just a part of nature. It's a very minuscule part of nature. How I see it, that's nature's way of population control. That's how I see it. That's nature's way of population control. Oh, too much penguins. So there's a thing. There's gay penguins. There's gay penguins that will be together, and they will take like an abandoned egg. Take the egg. Two males will take the egg and nurse the egg and take care of that baby chick. This is prevalent among all animal species and stuff like that. So it's not necessarily mental disease. But I think what we're trying to say is that it's not part of African culture, which I 100 fully agree with. It's not a part of African. It's not a part of African culture. You know what I'm saying? So that I understand. So these are it's a subsection of African culture that we don't know. We don't talk about. You do your thing. You go there, do that. We're not talking about that. It's not like Greece. It's not like Rome, where it's okay to be gay and have parades and do things like Caligula and be like Caesar and have boyfriends and girlfriends and all that. Nah, only Europeans do that stuff. and when it comes to you need a gay friend, it kind of reminds me of when Steve Harvey was talking about atheists, and he's like, I don't understand what an atheist is or whatever, because where do you get your morality from? I don't need to have a gay friend to have empathy. Like Brother McCarvey says, hey, look, I don't agree with your lifestyle or whatever and things of that nature. You know what I'm saying? We're not going to really have a beer together hanging out looking for girls. You know what I'm saying? But I don't need to have a gay friend to have empathy, because I have empathy for people. You know what I'm saying? I have empathy for people, and I don't want any harm coming to them. I don't need to have a gay friend for me to be a freaking human being. And I pretty much land my plane right there.
Appreciate that, Kofi. Cheryl, you wanted to respond to Kofi, I think. Go ahead.
No, but I remember seeing that. Just what Kofi was saying, I do remember seeing that that clip when the boy was like, "Why are you gay?" I was
No,
cracking
you
up.
never seen that? It's a Uganda. I forgot it. It's a Uganda thing where this woman was fighting for LGBT rights in Uganda. So just put
Right.
in "you are gay" in the algorithm, you'll see it.
Yo, but that was a woman, right? And she
Yes, it was a woman. Yeah, it was a woman.
right.
Yes, it was a woman. It was a woman.
You
I
know why
thought that
that
was
happened?
two men.
That
Nah,
was hilarious.
the one in the white suit was a woman.
Kofi, that was a woman. She
Yeah,
thought she was a man.
yeah, yeah.
And
So
like,
You are
yeah, I
gay.
was all right, so
you
Why
are
listen,
are
gay.
you gay? You are gay. Why are you gay?
Kofi,
Then
I'm
Why
the
are
done.
things
you
that
gay?
I'm
I'm sorry, Cheryl. I don't mean to talk over you. I
no,
apologize.
yeah, you go ahead, go ahead.
No, I was just going with y'all. You are gay. Why are you gay? Then the thing say, I'm not.
Yes,
Then
that's him. That's
you
him.
he
Okay,
said,
could you
you are gay.
No,
thank you for
that is an
coming. Okay,
extension. That right there, that's an extension of European colonialism. That re-
you are gay.
that
You are a
that's why she
transgender.
What shows that?
yeah, because
You are
You are the transgender.
and you know what? You know what? It's when you're on a continent and you have a woman who talk about she gay, right? That's even more apparent because you are on a continent where how many of the percentage of women who are saying I'm gay, I like women, I like box. Who says that? Like no women. It's a result of European colonialism because that is what they do. That's what Rome does. They do that. It's not a mental disorder for them. That is a way of life for them,
Okay,
right?
but I understand that, but at the same time, to say it's only culture, it's like saying that only people who adhere to being gay as a part of the culture is gay. That's not true. So Uganda is not that colonized. There's gay people all over the place. What has happened? Okay, so in that clip where the guy says you are gay and remember when Obama went to Uganda and tried to say, well, okay, we're going to do policies here, but I don't like how your gay people are being treated here. If you want to do business, you're going to have legislation for LGBT. They're like, get the fuck out. Get the fuck out. Get out. Yeah, we got bigger things to worry about. You pushing this on us. So in that same clip, there's going to be a minister that comes there that is against that. So remember the thing. It's another YouTube video where the minister that comes there. You keep watching that clip, and the gay woman tries to run away from him. So, but there's several clip of him saying, "This is what Obama wants us to do. He wants us to eat the poo poo. Look what the gay men are doing. If there's children in here, close their eyes, get them out the room. This is what the gay people want us to do. This is thing called anal leaking." Anal leaking, and they put these heats up there in the anus. I'm like, yeah, what the hell?
I have never seen a full video. Hey, but let me say something right quick, right? I had this guy I grew up with. He used to play basketball with us, football with us. We could tell he was a little sissy when he was we could tell he was gay, right? When he was about 7 years old, everybody just knew. He died of AIDS when he was like 33 years old. He a year older than me. He died of AIDS when he was 33. So then this is what made me realize, why should I hate them? Because on his deathbed, he told his family that he told his mama family on his deathbed that one of his daddy brother, his uncle, had started sleeping with him when he was 4 years old. And I'm like, so why should we hate the person that has been victimized. You understand what I'm saying?
I don't even like, I see what you're saying. I feel like we all have these instances, and we all have like a family member or a close relative who, like, I have an aunt where she thinks she's a lesbian. But you have to take into account the society in which we live in that creates the environment for certain things to happen, right?
Mhm.
It's just like when okay, we live in America. By default, most of us are going to be Christian, right? So by default, if you're going to be Christian, also you're going to follow the without even like consciously understanding what Christianity is, because most people who are Christian don't even understand what it entails. They don't understand history. They don't have a historical context. So when you all of a sudden get all of these black people talking about, well, my aunt, was gay, or this person was raped by this family member, and all of this is all a result of this is the post Greco-Roman society that we live in, because that's what America is mimicked off of.
But
That's
you're talking about indoctrination. That's not indoctrination. You know what I'm
it,
saying?
it, it is indoctrination, but it's on a psychological level through religion. It really is.
No.
And
I'm talking about a person being gay. So the tragic story that Bakari gave, that is a real thing, and that probably led to that. Yeah, and
yeah,
that's where I say it's fair to say it's probably a psychological thing. But they
it,
are gay people that they
it,
weren't physically or sexually abused, and
yeah.
they just choose to be gay. That's what I'm saying. So
Um,
this is already like, I'm not saying you can't talk about it. I'm not saying you shouldn't say anything, but this is not something it's something that's been debunked. Just basically saying it's a mental disease and it's crazy for people to be gay, or gay people weren't born that way. We're gay people are naturally born that way. You know what I'm saying? But again, I
I
get
was,
nuances. There's my nuance, there's your nuance, and
mhm.
Bakari's. It's all true. But to say, well, you're not born that way, that's
I
that's that's not true.
okay, so I think there are men who are more feminine than other men. But
True.
if you talking like let's get real now. If you talking about getting poked in the butt, right? I'm trying to be nice. If you talking about
Yeah,
getting poked in the butt, that is not natural. That is not natural. Being
it's
a
not.
feminine man is natural to some men are more feminine than others, okay? But that femininity in a society like America and Europe, it
Yeah, it
because
fits.
the
There's a
society
place
that
for them.
you're in,
Yeah.
if you are a feminine man, chances are you're going to be led to getting poked in the butt. If that makes sense.
Probably, but would you agree there's men
Hey,
that
y'all,
have
y'all let me put this. Let me chime in.
feminine attributes that are not gay? Would you agree there are feminine men that are completely heterosexual? I don't know them personally, but I've seen men that are extremely, they're kind of feminine, but they have wives and
Yes.
everything. So I don't know. So it's weird.
Let me tell you something. It's a very complex thing. I have a family member who most people well, he's my brother. I would guess he's my brother-in-law.
Hmm.
Most people would think that he is because of the way he talks, right?
Yeah,
Because he don't got a whole bunch of muscles and stuff like that. Like he like if you hear how he talk, most people are like, oh, he got some sugar in his tank. No, he does not. Okay, just because he sounds a certain way does not mean he like getting poked in the butt. And a lot of people like they conflate the two, because usually when you have one you have the other, but that doesn't mean that. Like it could be like, I find a lot of men who are raised by just single women,
hmm,
they don't have the fathers, they tend to sound a certain way. That doesn't mean that they like men.
true.
It may not be appealing. I'm not attracted to that. I wouldn't, if a man sound like that, I wouldn't personally. But men, that tends to happen, and that's because we're in a society that is not ours. We wouldn't get that if it was just us. If it was just us without them invading, we wouldn't even get that.
Yeah.
That's my
No, I totally agree with you. My only point I want to land at is that is not okay. So it's not something that's to do with culture. Is mostly biological, and I'm not sure how specifically they handle that in traditional Africa. They're just not mentioned at all. It's like the black sheep that you know what I'm saying, of the family. Oh yeah, he good, and you just don't talk about it. You know what I'm saying, because it's not a part of our culture, but they were always there. So one last thing. So you can't really say how many gay people they are in a society where it's demonized or you could be killed. So you don't know really how many gay people there are would be in Africa. You know how many gay people there would be in America.
Okay.
Same thing in America. So when homosexuality was demonized in America, you really couldn't get a number. You know why? Because no one was taking a census on that, didn't have any representation. They'd be ostracized. Now that it's more open, they're more coming out and their numbers are coming up. People say, oh, so there's more gay people. Why is there more gay people? No, because they're being represented. And so now they're more forthcoming, is what I'm saying.
I hear you on that. Do you have a record of gay people who like to get poked in the butt, Africans, pre-colonial times, them invading Kemet?
No.
Greco-Romans invading Europe and the Arabs invading Europe. Do we have a record of that? Of black men love getting poked?
No, man, I don't know anything about that in the Caribbean. Means gonna say fire putting that. So,
Hey, y'all gonna share me for a minute? I got something I want to ask y'all. I want to say to y'all.
Yeah.
Okay. Exactly. You know, I like how the way that ended, what Cheryl was saying. Okay, let's check something out. We know that right now today in America and even in Europe, I guess some part, you know, about the Catholic Church, how they've had all these sex scandals for years and years and years about these priests messing with little boys and stuff. You know, we've been hearing about that for years. Now, just think about this here. Let's go back to the 1870s, the 1880s, or let's go back to the 1850s and 40s in Africa. Okay, now, one of the things that Europeans did, and even the Arabs did, okay, before we colonized the place, the first thing they did was send who? The missionaries. They sent the missionaries. And many times, in particular in West Africa and Central Africa, you know, it was the Spanish, the Portuguese, the French, you know, the English before they split. You know, it was a lot of these Catholic missionaries that they were sitting up all over West Africa and all over Central Africa, like in the port and on the coast and they little trading posts and stuff like that. Now, just think about it. These missionaries, these Catholic churches, and the bishops or the church, whoever, the people who left, the clergymen who left Europe to come there, they must have had a field day. Just imagine them putting all them little boys as altar boys there in them little churches way up here. Well, look here, what happened? You know, okay, this is a little African child anyway. If he says something, who gonna believe him? You know what I'm saying? Who gonna believe him? You know, the church ain't gonna say nothing about it. We don't care about them. You know, we here to redeem their souls and all this old garbage. Okay. It was two incidents. One, it was this incident of a brother who we all know. Well, I know Koku knows. No, I mean, from watching him, you know, listening to him, his name was Maladomi Somé. He's from Burkina Faso. You know, and he's an author who he was deeply involved in like African traditional belief systems and the culture and everything. Koku, you heard him, right? Maladomi Somé?
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
Yeah. Okay, now he was an altar boy in church and they molested him. These Catholic priests. No, he wrote about it in his book. You know what I'm saying? They had molested him. Okay. Now you gotta believe that if this shit was going on as much as they've been finding out this has been going on in America, think about how it was going on in 19th century Africa. You know what I'm saying? This is when you started hearing about homosexuality in Africa. Yeah, you know, you can go back to the Romans and Greeks, they did their stuff too. You know, but they pretty much like they didn't colonize Africa to the extent that later Europeans did. You know, it was in North Africa, they was in the Nile Valley to a degree. But I'm saying these Europeans went all over Africa. You know what I'm saying? Where our ancestors from, West Africa, Central Africa, into East Africa. Okay, there was this Ugandan king. I don't know if y'all heard of him. In the 19th century, and he was a powerful king, a great king. You know, he brought the Buganda kingdom to like his highest position, a power. His name was Mutesa. There was a group of Mutesa's. It was a 1, 2, 3, and 4. I can't remember the exact name he was, but I know he ruled like in the 1860s, like from 1868 to the 1880s or something like that. Now Mutesa and his father was the one who had invited those Europeans there. And you know, the Catholic Church and everything, they were trying to convert people. Well, Mutesa growing up under that situation, and I don't know exactly what happened as when he was a small boy growing up under that situation, but Mutesa became known as, you know, what in modern day, the way they put it now, because, you know, like the revised history, well, he was known as the homosexual king. Now, Mutesa had an appetite for little boys. You know what I'm saying? The Catholic boys. Because the Catholic, like they had set up Catholicism in his kingdom. And like the altar boys, and they had this incident where these boys didn't want to give into it, where he actually accused them of being heretics, and they burnt them at the stake. You can read about the stories in the Buganda kingdom of what is now modern day Uganda. You know, like the forerunner of modern day Uganda. And I'm saying, I never heard of hardly any other African leaders, you know, that went through this kind of situation, unless they were ones who was influenced by the Catholic Church, by the Europeans, by colonialism. Now, like I said, Mutesa grew up during this colonial period. I mean, when the British, when they were trying to make inroads into East Africa, and his father who had invited these people in, they say, you know, you had this thing with him when he became king, and how, you know, he got into this kind of thing. You know, which was something that was unheard of, you know, in that part of Africa, particularly, you know, among our people, outside of the Arab region, you know what I'm saying, the Arab control region. So what I'm saying, we have to also take in consideration, like Cheryl said, this is something that came with colonialism. Of course, you had a one-off. Of course, you got one-off. Well, you know, like we were saying, you know, that dude over there a little strange from everybody else. Yeah, you know, obviously we probably had that in Africa. But I'm saying, as a culture, that wasn't part of our shit. That was part of our shit, and we really didn't start hearing about it like so frequently until the coming of those Catholic missionaries, the Christian missionaries in Africa, particularly those Catholics. So I land right there.
Anthony, that's my whole point. I mean, I don't disagree with you, but that's my whole point. If you have people where that is a part of their culture, they're going to see something within your culture that they recognize, and they can put their own spin on it and normalize it because it's normal in their culture. Now, to be fair, not all Christians or Europeans agree with homosexuality. Let's just be real with it. There's a lot of them that are against it. It's the more of the hardcore Christians that would tend to be and I hate using this word, but I have to use this word because I don't want Coco Chanel to get banned. Homophobic. Most people aren't homophobic. No one's looking at a gay person screaming and yelling and ripping their hair out, running for the hills. Because I hate this new term they have about if you dislike something, only if it's gay stuff. Oh, you're homophobic. Like, no, look at the word what phobia means. I'm not homophobic. Just because I don't like something doesn't mean I have a phobia of it. Like me, I'm a type of person, like, well, my family said, I don't want to like a hamburger or something like that. I don't like raw tomatoes. I like tomatoes and sauces and salsa and stuff like that. It's gross to me. I just don't like it. Or okra. I don't like okra. But I could sit at a table with you and see you eat a tomato okra sandwich. I'm not going to lose it. I'm not going to scream. I'm not going to yell. I'm fine with it. They put this whole phobia stuff so they could gain sympathy. Because remember, gay people is less than what? Especially in America, less than 2%, 3% of the population. You're not talking about a lot of people, but they got this huge representation. But I do understand what Anthony is saying. That's why when it comes to Africa and African culture, I'm a strong proponent of not having their custom and their ways, not taking on the religion, because it's all a part of colonialism. When they first came into Africa, they didn't see anything that they can manipulate. That's why the first thing they do is make you a Christian. If they make you a Christian, then according to their rules that they made about Christianity, they're going to tell you how you should move. You know what I'm saying? When you're an African and you're into your original spirituality, you're into your original culture, they cannot, especially with money, they cannot manipulate you.
Just one more thing, and I'm just gonna wrap it up. In Greco-Roman society, um, the idea of this man boy love, this love with men and other men being
I think it's
involved.
called agape. I think it's
Yeah,
the word for it.
you're right about that. Yeah. So this was a practice that was not done by all of them. It was just meant for the upper echelon, the elite. It's kind of like how you see in Hollywood, in America, how they, in order to get to a certain level in Hollywood, you have to engage in some type of sexual thing. They don't always say it out loud. Some celebrities come out and say it um publicly, but that is Hollywood is Rome. And I know this is kind of getting away from the topic, but um in terms of it being biological, as I heard it said, it's not. It's even in Roman society, it wasn't even a practice that everybody did. So we got to keep that in mind. So when you say there were some people who were Christian who did not like homosexuality, that makes sense because all of them didn't do it. It was just the upper echelon of society. So when it comes to Africa, then all of that is it's like a free for all. It's like it's like everything because they don't understand how Roman and Greco-Roman society was. So you find random African people just engaging in these practices, not knowing where they come from, and a lot of them experiencing these things through trauma. So the idea that it's biological is totally false amongst Africans, especially given how Kemet was prior to the Arabs and the Romans and the Grecians coming in and invading Kemet at the time. I'm not going to call it Egypt because Egypt is the word that they gave it when they started conquering. But we have to really, like, it's not biological for Africans. We are all about reproduction, life, bringing forth life, right? And venerating our ancestors and loving man. Woman and the man are they're complementary to each other, right? So our whole way of living is turned on its head when it's even before 400 years ago colonization. You're talking Greece and Rome thousands of years ago. That's when it started. So we gotta keep in mind that's important. We can't just say, oh well, it's biological. No, there is no biological markers. If there were biological markers, we would have there would have they would have picked those out already. All right. And if they try to do it now, they try to pick up some biological markers that they say is the gay gene. There's no such thing as the gay gene. There's no such thing as that. Right. It was a function of Roman society from the upper echelons of Rome. Okay, so that's been bastard ever since then. It's been brought into Africa. It's been bastardized. It's been used by everyone. So that's all it is. So I'm gonna end there. Sorry.
Can I say one thing? Because I know we're ready to move on from this and close out. Let me say one thing. I know we in America, what they call the West, and it's a Christian nation, allegedly, and everything can. But we need to study Bakabazi. This stuff came into Africa, not just through Europeans. If you study Baki, have y'all ever heard of Bakabazi?
No,
You ever heard
go.
about? Okay,
No,
so if
tell.
you study Bakabazi, you will see that's where them Arabs. This is mostly where the Arabs, they do it mostly now in Afghanistan, but this is where Arabs, the Muslims, where they Quran tell you to push a gay dude from the top of the mountain. Go look and see how they go get little boys from poor families and pay them. You can look it up now. You can see them doing rituals, and you know what you
Yep.
see? You will see
Yep.
you will see African men that have accepted Islam in there, slapping little boys on the butts and putting a couple dollars down for them dancing.
Yep.
It ain't just
Yep.
see it ain't just the Christians or the Romans or the Greeks. Yeah, they were more prevalent because we know them and they talk about their history more. But I'm telling you, them other people, they came in there doing it too. And like I say, they have it's like a festival or something like that. Bacha bazi, something to that effect. Yeah, that's all I wanted to say.
Very interesting. Very interesting. So yeah, as Brother Bakari would have pointed out, we in the shout out section of the show. Kofi, if you're around, hop on to give a shout out. Joe shouted out the panel earlier, so I'd like to get the shout outs from the folks who are up here with us. Let me start with Cheryl. Cheryl, what would you like to shout out? Something positive in your world, in your life, or the African world in general? What would you like to shout out this week?
Oh man. Um. Yeah. Was it Bakari that just spoke? He just said the thing about the that like how the Arabs it wasn't just the Europeans, it was the Arabs too, and they were doing all of that. There's still like real evidence for that today, how they the things that they do with little boys. It's a really big thing that's not really on the social media platform for obvious reasons, but they do things that we just we just don't know as people who live in the West. Like we don't understand that. They've done some crazy things throughout history. And remember, I mean, the Arabs have been in Africa for quite some time now. Just maybe not as long as the Romans and the Greeks, but they also play a role in that how do you say it? Alphabetization of African people. So shout out to him on that because that's serious over there.
Appreciate that, Cheryl. Brother Bakari, what would you like to shout out this week?
I want to shout you out. Your pops, Anthony, his mom. Uh, I'm gonna shout out all the shout outs that I'm gonna be shouting out in the future. but but you know what? I want to shout out uh us African Americans who's out here trying to do the right thing. I want to shout out this discussion, the panel, the chat. Uh, and I'm gonna say this before I go. Uh, when we was talking about the N word, and I say that's something I've never said because it was a whooping in my house. I don't want nobody to think I'm trying to act like I'm perfect. I think what I did, and I had to work hard to stop saying this word too. And I still say it sometimes, but I work on. I replaced it. I used to use MNF all the time. And when I study MNF and the way we say we got that word, it's really no better than the N word. So the same way I would discuss and tell people don't say the N word is the same way I would kick myself in the behind for using MNF all the time. Sure did. On that note, man, I'm gonna shout out. Hey, but let me say, I got one more thing I want to ask us to do, if we can. Uh, we organize prison programs, and I'm not saying forget about our people that went to prison. That's not what I'm saying. Let's organize something for if we can, for our youth that's going to college, be it 2 year, 4 year, uh, trade school. You know, let's organize something and help the ones who's trying to do something different. Let's organize something and have something where we can give our youth that's in school who's trying to do it right the first time, or what we consider right, or what they consider right the first time. The same way we put energy into our family, our friends, whoever who has been to prison or in prison, and we create prison programs. I don't know if they get 50. I don't know if they get 501c3 checks or whatever from that. I believe they getting checks and money. That's why you find so many of them. But let's create us a program to help our youth that's going to school. You know, I'm an advocate of HBCUs, but even if our youth is not in an HBCU because of where they live and they can't get there, or for whatever reason they don't have it doesn't make a difference. They're trying to do something. We need to do something for them, so we can keep them in the community. On that, I yield the mic.
Appreciate that, brother. Okay, make sure you guys are tuned in, subscribe, click the bell for Brother Bakari and for Kofi the Black Critic. Make sure you check out their lives when they do those programs. Last but not least, Brother Anthony, what would you like to shout out this week?
Okay, man. I'd like to shout out. I'd like to shout out all the brothers and sisters on the panel tonight, man, and in the chat, man. And shout out to our parents, or those of us who fortunate to still have our parents among us. You know what I'm saying? Shout out to our parents, man. And the biggest thing, man, I want to give a shout out to the people of Botswana. The president of Botswana, I don't know if y'all seen it this weekend. He kind of catching the fever from the Sahel brothers, man. And Botswana is like the leading exporter of diamonds in the world. You know what I'm saying? The raw diamonds in the world. And he said he just came here. He said, "Look here, ain't no more of this bullshit going on. You foreigners ain't exploiting none of our shit no more." You know what I'm saying? We gonna take care of everything right here, manufactured, finished product, everything right here from now on, and keep our resources with our people. So a shout out to Botswana, the president of Botswana, man, and hope that they can follow through with it, man. And don't let nobody come and try to bribe them out of shit, man. So shout out to them, man, and shout out to everybody, man.
Appreciate that, Anthony. My shout out is to all of you who join tonight, who join every week consistently. Special shout out to Buan. I know he has some things going on in his family as well, so shout out to him. Shout out to Jacadero, who I mentioned a few times earlier. He's at an African Senate event eating some Ghanaian jollof and whatnot. Hopefully he's having a good time. Hopefully you guys all gave your vote for if you'd like to see Jacadero become the permanent host of the program.
I voted. I said, hell no.
That's up to y'all, but the poll stands at 87% no, 13% yes. I might ask it again in a couple of weeks. We'll see. But I appreciate all of you and your participation when I'm here, when I'm not here. And when I see you guys on other platforms on KWAZ Radio, it really kind of warms my heart to see the connection that we have. So until then, next week, I don't know if I'll host or if Jacadero will, but we'll be back again next week, 8 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. Hope to see you guys here again. Until then, you guys be good, be African, and I'll see you in the future. Peace.
Peace.
Thanks for listening to the Bitter Medicine Podcast with your host, Koku. If you like what you just heard, we hope you pass along our web address, bittermedicineblogs.com, to your friends and colleagues, and share our show to all your social media. Be sure to check out our archive section on our website for previous podcasts. This has been a KWAZ radio production. Join us next time for another session of the Bitter Medicine Podcast. Follow us on Facebook at Bitter Medicine Show, Twitter, Bitter Meds, Tumblr, Bitter Meds, Instagram, Bitter Medicine.